Oh, hey guys, don't mind me, I'm just on my first night at my new job. Which means nothing is happening. Seriously, I've been here for like an hour and not one of these guys have moved yet. Maybe I shouldn't have muted that call. Yeah, after my old boss tried to kill me, I realized my rent was due and promptly begged him to take me back. But turns out after you slander a huge company for 5 hours, the best they'll do for you is night shift. Well, now that you're here, at least I have someone to talk to. Actually, suffering through this reminds me of some rather similar first days I had replaying the FNaF games recently. Yeah, I never look forward to the first night. But hey, there are some games worth sitting through that for. I mean, some of those nights get crazy fun. So, with you already being here and all, you want to hear me talk about a few of them to pass the time? What do you mean no? Come on, it'll be fun. Plus, it's not like you can leave till 6 a.m. anyway. Trust me, it'll be boring for both of us. Five Nights at Freddy's is all about surviving the night. And with the title stating there are 5 in each game, although it's actually more like 7 or like 9 if you're FNaF 4, it's clear that there are quite a lot of nights now. In total, with a few liberties taken, there have been 48 unique nights at Freddy's in the core games. Most of these are very similar to each other, so it would be really stupid for someone to rank all of them. Look man, I have a lot of free time. Let's talk rules and what defines a night to me. If when you start a night it has a unique number next to it, it's a night. So all 6s, customs, and nightmares count. If you needed to equip a cheat to play it and you get a star for beating it, that's a night. And if it has 2 wildly different ways of beating it that has a new ending locked behind it, yeah, that's very specific, but that's a night. If you don't understand, don't worry, I'll explain more along the way. The only games included on this list are the Scott era games. That means 1 through Ultimate Custom Night. Yes, I really did count UCN. It has night in the title. I mean, come on, it obviously qualifies. Security Breach and Ruin are just 2 long nights, so ranking them felt dumb, and the Help Wanted games are a little more complicated. Do I rank 1 through 3 again? Do the other minigames count? If so, how many of them? I just decided to leave them out and save them for a list of their own someday. One last thing and then I'll just jump into it. I created a little system to make ranking these a bit easier on me. Each night I gave a point total for 3 different categories out of 5. Fun, uniqueness, and challenge. The first 2 obviously matter a lot more than the last, but I still think it's an important number to calculate, so don't be surprised if an easy night is still higher than nights with a bigger point total. I'll leave the numbers in the top corner for each night so you can see what they got, but don't worry too much about that. I'll be giving my full detailed reasoning with each segment. Phew. Look at me, I feel like phone guy over here. Yeah, I wish I could skip this call too. No more camera stalling. Let's start with 48th, last place. In dead last, and this may seem like a weird choice, but night 1 of FNaF 4. This was the only night to get a 0 in all categories. Let's start with fun and challenge. None to be had at all. The only animatronics active here are Bonnie, Chica, and Freddy, and they are all ridiculously easy to handle and attack probably twice total. And Freddy has never killed me even on the harder nights. Well, I did say that challenge doesn't exactly equal good. Find me one person who has fun replaying this night. Foxy is the best part of regular FNaF 4 gameplay, and he gets added on the very next night. So why would you even play this when you already know how to play? Just skip to night 2 and start there. That is a way better option. And also kind of works since this game has a night 8, when usually it goes up to 7. You're not missing out on a single thing here. Speaking of how to play, this is the only game in the whole series to not have a guy telling you how to play with a fun little phone call. Instead, you get these shitty little text boxes that don't even explain the game that well. I'm telling you, no phone guy hurts this one a lot. It has the most nights in the series, and they are all almost identical since all the characters are introduced by night 2. With the other games, you can have some funny little phone calls taking up the first few minutes, making even the worst nights a bit more unique. But here, it is just FNaF 4, which isn't a bad thing, but without Foxy or any challenge at all, it definitely is. The one unique part of this night is that it has an ending minigame, and it's the worst one. You knock on a door and cry. That's literally it. All the other ones are so cool and tell a really fascinating backstory, but this is an awful introduction to that, especially since you see this room multiple times throughout the other nights. FNaF 4 Night 1 is the only night in the entire series I consider 100% pointless. You get absolutely nothing out of playing it. No phone guy, no challenge, nothing even remotely cool. Just the fucking nightmare trio who you can see on literally every other night. Skip this. Never play it again. It is a horrible introduction to a great game and gaslit me and many others into thinking it was awful for years after it came out. I should move on. I don't have much to say. There's that little content here. This was my obvious pick for last place when I started thinking about this video and the main reason I'm even making it. But after really thinking about it, it has changed spots a lot. Obviously, I found a night worse than it, but not by much. Night 1 of FNaF 1 is bad on a different level. And I'll tell you why in a moment. But first, I want to be clear on something. I can hear the argument now, but this is the first night ever. That means it's unique. No, it fucking isn't. It's the same night as every single night after it, just with nothing happening. Originally, it was a few places up on my list because of that reason, but I realized that I'm not giving the other first nights props for being the first night. Like, FNaF 4's gameplay is super unique, but why would I give a night 1 credit for that? I do not care that this is technically the most unique night ever. Night 1 is the same exact thing as night 2, but with no Foxy. So let's get on to why I think that this night 1 is worse than every other night. Besides 4. There is no fun to be had. For the first 4 hours, you just sit still and watch the animatronics slowly move around until getting to your door. And when they do eventually get to you, their AI is so low that they stay there for like a full minute. It's FNaF 1, so of course, the renders are some of the most interesting, but since Bonnie and Chica are the only ones who really have renders in this game, these are the same ones you'll be seeing throughout this entire game. So that's boring too. And of course, the only reason this is better than last place is because of Phone Guy. It is an amazing first call and is iconic to this series. But I can hear this call on YouTube if I wanted to listen to it again. So as the only reason to replay most of FNaF 1, not giving me much incentive here. But hey, at least that's something. This night is much worse than just being a boring waste of time to me. It actively ruins my interest in so many fan games because they all feel the need to copy it for some reason. Why would you make me replay the most boring night in FNaF history at the very start of your fan game? But even worse because most of them either have a way inferior phone call, a super short one, or none at all. So I literally have no reason to play it at all. So many of the most popular fan games are plagued with this curse. Candies, the first few hours of Flumpties, Lego FNaF, and tons of other straight up copies I probably got an hour into before quitting. Maybe FNaF Plus could have broken this cycle, but with the dull visuals and lack of Scott as the phone guy, I didn't have much faith in it even before it was canceled. If this is your first time ever playing FNaF, this is a pretty great experience. And I have a lot of memories that I cherish from this first night. But as a long-term fan who likes to play these games more than once, this is the hurdle that always keeps me from revisiting this first game. I usually just skip to the prequel. Most FNaF games end with one super hard challenge, one night where everything is cranked up to 20 and all bets are off. These are usually super memorable, if not a little impossible. Oh, yes, really, all the way down here. So, which of these nights have I decided was a very long step away from the others? That would be Blacklisted. I've decided that Blacklisted definitely counts as a unique night. Maybe it's a little unfair since it's technically 6 nights, but you know what? Leaving this out would make even less sense to me, so here it is. Blacklisted is the worst hard night in any FNaF game. Not only do you have to replay the entirety of Pizzeria Simulator to get it, you also have to make sure that your liability is above 50 points, which confuses a lot of people as it's never explained. You just kind of have to know that, I guess. And for that to be possible, you need to buy all of the discounted goods, which means all 4 animatronics are active by like night 2. Which means no fun salvage minigame. And not only that, but clones of them are also active. These nights are almost entirely luck. Just waiting around and praying that you aren't killed for a completely unknown reason. It isn't fun, it isn't a cool challenge, it's a bullshit. And what do you even get for all of that? A cutish cutscene that you can look up on YouTube and a fake piece of paper. No thank you. Sure, it's something, but to me, little to no reward makes these challenges better. I don't feel shitty for not beating Golden Freddy in FNaF 2 because I already have all the menu stars. If you want to get 100% on your title screen, you better get used to dying a lot. Yet another first night. Man, Scott is not great at these. Monday is a tutorial night where no one attacks you and it lasts like 2 minutes. I was thinking about giving it at least 1 more point for having the little hand unit call at the beginning, and while it is better than what FNaF 4 did, I can't say by much. It's not even funny and hardly explains how to play the game. This game leaves you so unprepared that Scott had to make a Steam post explaining how to play on a basic level. That still left out important details, by the way, which he has never had to do for a main series game. So no, Night 2 isn't like super hard and tricky like that one video essay makes you think. It's just poorly explained and no one knew how to play it. The reason I gave it anything was because of the salvage with Molten Freddy after the night is over. It's super easy, and the twist at the beginning of the game kind of spoiled it. But at least it was the first time we met Molten Freddy. It was a pretty cool surprise. Oh, and hearing Cassette Man speak is always nice. Night 2 of FNaF 1 is only technically better than Night 1. I genuinely think that they both suck, but obviously I have my own personal hate for Night 1. Foxy is active now, but you'd be pretty dumb to actually let him kill you on a replay. Aside from that, there's a unique phone call, but it's shorter and worse than the first night's call. I have nothing else to say. It's Night 2 of FNaF 1. Phone Guy is quite a bit better in FNaF 2, which is the one and only reason why Night 2 of that game is 1 spot higher. The Mangle, BB, and Withered Foxy get added tonight. And while that is a lot of new stuff, they chose some of the lamest characters to bring in together. The Mangle and BB are great, but they act like all the other toys, so it's not very interesting. Foxy, on the other hand, sucks ass! Who knows, maybe the next spot won't be a Night 2. Oh, would you look at that? I've decided that Friday very clearly deserves to be pretty low on this list. Not as low as Monday since you actually get to play the game, but at least on Monday, something happens. This is the only night in Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator where nothing new at all happens. Not one thing aside from regular gameplay. No salvages, no cutscenes, absolutely nothing. All the characters are in the game, and the disappointment of just going to the Tycoon mode is crushing. It's a little tougher than the others since everyone is here, but this game really only gets hard on Saturday. You may die once or twice, but you'll beat it in a matter of time. Trust me, you won't even need to look up a tutorial on how to play. This night may not be the worst, but it's definitely pointless. Like, if you took it out of the game, you would have 5 days, so really, what the hell? Did you enjoy Monday and Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator? No. Well, too bad. To get the mediocre ending, you gotta play it 6 times in a row. Yeah, this sounds pretty awful, and it's not fun in the slightest, but the cute cutscene at the end and the kind of funny concept makes this 30-minute bore fest probably not worth it, but whatever, it's got more going on than Friday. Night 4 of FNaF 3 is definitely the worst night in that game. The last new character gets added tonight, and it's the Marionette. Ugh. Not a bad character, but really? The last character added in the last 2 felt satisfying. But here, it's just the Phantom of the Marionette. Gameplay-wise, this is literally just FNaF 3, but with more FNaF 3 at the end! And as much as I defend this title, it's one of the few FNaF games I say gets worse as it goes on. But we'll get to that later, as well as the gameplay itself. Just to be clear, this is the night where you put your phone number into the wall of the office, which is very funny to me, and I have no clue how people found that, but it is very stupid. Plus, the Fredbear minigame is definitely the worst. Without a map, it's all just blind jumps and rubbing against walls until you find the one that lets you clip through. Not fun to play, for the first time or on a replay. But the sound for going through walls, it's pretty satisfying. Night 1 of FNaF 2 isn't as bad as the first game, but really not that much better. Phone Guy is a treat as always, and this is one of the few nights where you actually have a chance to appreciate the renders, since the Marionette isn't much of a threat yet. And while I think the 3 hours they give you to explore before anything happens is nice, but obviously, on a replay, this night is so boring. Nothing happens the entire time, and Phone Guy is only there for half of it. The main reason it's this high is because of these amazing renders. But even then, it's only Toy Bonnie and Toy Chica. Not like the worst first night, but definitely nothing I'm begging to replay. This one was actually surprisingly close, but I've decided that Wednesday is worse than Tuesday. Sure, it's a little harder since Afton is active, but that doesn't really mean much to me since the game doesn't actually get difficult until Saturday. So the only real difference is that during one, you salvage a brand new character you've never seen before and it's such a cool surprise, and then the other is a character you saw at the very start. And while I do love Scrap Baby, yeah, this reveal is obviously cooler. On Tuesday, you salvage Afton. He looks dumb, but I was excited when I saw him for the first time. Other than that, the night is piss easy.
That was easier than I thought it would be.
Uh-oh, another FNaF 2 night. Not doing great so far. Night 3 is more of the same, but with the Wizards being involved. That's 3 more characters added. Man, this game throws a lot at you very fast. Too bad they all work the exact same. To be fair, they were a great surprise the first time you played, if Withered Foxy wasn't in Night 2, and if you couldn't see them in Parts and Service, and all the teasers and the title screen. Okay, never mind, it was a bad surprise. The last salvage of Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator is a random rockstar animatronic named Lefty who isn't an already important to the lore that we knew of character alongside the 3 most fucking important animatronics ever. So that's definitely a fun surprise. I've never been able to salvage Lefty before, it's just too hard. Just kidding! While recording, I actually figured it out. You need to shock when you hear those random ambient sound effects, and now it's really easy. It felt so good to conquer him for the first time. So yeah, Thursday's okay, I guess. Night 4 of FNaF 4 isn't hard. It's harder, but not what I would consider challenging. But to be fair, not much of this game is. Just like the past 3 nights, nothing is new. But the only thing that really matters is that this is the second worst minigame. You're just in a room and then you fall over and cry. Sounds familiar. I know that seeing the endo and the kid in the suit is cool, but I don't know. I guess I just don't really care that much since the last 2 are fucking amazing. I'm sorry I'm being so negative, but I can only say that the gameplay is boring so many times without boring you myself. But don't worry, from here on out, every night had at least something going for it. Whether it be a pretty small first for the series or something massive like the big final challenge of the game. Yep, another hot take. Aggressive Nightmare kinda sucks. Especially as that game's max mode. For one, it's FNaF 3, bleh. And for second, this wasn't even supposed to be possible. Which means the only thing you get for completing it is a star on the menu. No cutscene, no minigame, not even a pink slip like the other hard nights. Just a star on the fucking menu that had to be added in an update. The only reason this isn't at the very bottom of the list is because it technically comes along with the other cheats. They aren't super interesting to me, but as the first PC version to include these, well, I think that's pretty neat. And the aggressive cheat itself is a pretty smart idea, but Scott would perfect this just 1 game later. So really, it's not all that special. It is still a pretty big deal and super challenging. I've never actually beaten this one, unfortunately. I tried for quite a while, but this game gets so fucking boring, and that combined with the difficulty just drove me away. Sorry, I know this is one of the easier max modes, but I'm just too impatient for it, and not a huge fan in general. Night 4 of FNaF 2 is more of FNaF 2. This is where I think the challenge really starts to ramp up, but overall, this really is just more FNaF 2. So it's really not a problem for returning players. The phone call mentions the investigation, which is great, and it even has my all-time favorite Day Shift at Freddy's line. These things happen sometimes. Foxy is the best part of 4's gameplay loop. And while it still won't be hard for a while, he definitely makes Night 2 a teeny bit more interesting. The minigame isn't anything too special, it just kinda teases you for the Night 3 game, but seeing Fredbear's for the first time is pretty great, and it does have its own exclusive Easter egg showing Purple Guy putting another adult into a Fredbear suit, so that's definitely something. As the night that finally adds Freddy to the mix, Night 3 is pretty iconic to the franchise. He isn't really a threat yet, and the new renders he brings are incredibly hard to see, but there's still no denying that this is an important night at Freddy's. Oh, it also has the phone call where Phone Guy tells you to go limp, which is a conversation I've always enjoyed. It felt really weird putting the most important FNaF 1 night this low, but when you really think about it, Night 5 kinda sucks. I mean, Phone Guy isn't around anymore, so you just get this garble over the phone, which is cool, but it's no Phone Guy. This is the first night where the game actually starts to get a little tough, which means you'll probably have to actually try now. And when you beat it, you get your paycheck and learn that your name is Mike Schmidt. I mean, yeah, this is neat, but it isn't even the last night, so it's just kind of another night at Freddy. Unpopular opinion time! The Ennard boss fight fucking sucks! It is way too RNG dependent, as you need to listen for all of his sounds and to not waste power to check the cams, but sometimes he just doesn't make a sound. It's only Ennard, so it's not a very interesting night, especially with what this room becomes later. And for the first few hours, this is piss easy and piss boring. It's only around the 4-hour mark where he actually becomes a challenge, but now he's just obnoxious and completely random. And let's not forget that this is 14 minutes long. And like 8 of that you'll spend doing absolutely nothing. How do people like this? Obviously, I'm not a fan of this night, but there is a lot to like about everything surrounding it, which is why it isn't any lower. Ignoring Baby and doing your own thing is satisfying after getting the real ending and knowing she was lying to you. And the dialogue you hear through the nights of her and Elizabeth is chilling. I mean, a few of these voice lines are some of my all-time favorite Circus Baby lines. The ending itself is also freaky as hell. We finally get to see the ending of The Restless and the Immortal before Enter drags their limp body across your room, somehow finding you. Okay, this is amazing. But the night is kind of bad, so I'm sorry. There is also an amazing Easter egg in the private room. Typing 1983 into the keypad reveals the purpose of the room was to watch the FNaF 4 Crying Child, complete with a plush Fredbear holding a walkie-talkie. And this doesn't even return in Custom Night, so that's something cool exclusive to this night. Or at least that's what we thought at the time, but I'm not gonna go into that right now. Read Dinophobia, you cowards! Sister Location is the most unique FNaF game, hands down. And all of its nights are amazing. Even night 1. While just being a tutorial night, it is chock full of funny hand unit dialogue. But of course, almost every night has that. We get introduced to the keypad bit.
Eggs Benedict.
We see all of the game's main settings without any danger lurking, and even a taste of why the animatronics want to leave so bad. And when at the very end you finally crawl through to see the face of the game, we find that even when we motivate her, she still isn't on her stage. But the hand unit acts like she is. You leave the building and watch the first episode of The Immortal and the Restless, which is pretty great.
I tell you, the baby isn't mine.
Overall, this night isn't very interesting, especially on a replay. But unlike the other games, the dialogue makes it all work in my opinion. But obviously, we haven't even seen half of what Sister Location has to offer us. As the most hated game in the FNaF series, I'm sure a lot of you are confused why only 2 FNaF 3 nights have shown up so far. Well, that can easily be summed up by saying that every single night in FNaF 3 has a minigame to go along with it, and these can be really cool. Night 3 probably has my personal favorite minigame, along with the way that you enter it. You have to find all 4 phantom cupcakes on the cameras. And when you do, you'll be sent to Chica's Party World, a minigame similar to the Sister Location one. Its name even being referenced before the game came out. I also really enjoyed the path to the kid. It feels like you're actually doing something that you shouldn't without just having you walk through a wall. It's actually really clever. Aside from that, 3 characters are added this night, and even if it isn't all that hard yet and Foxy's the worst ever, I think this night still has a lot going for it. Night 1 of the same game is probably the most unique classic FNaF night. Okay, this one is weird. You start the game with no enemies at all. And you might think that that would make this a boring night, but with the brand new Phone Dude and the BB minigame, it's actually pretty good. Phone Dude talks like he's an old school Freddy's fan, genuinely excited to be part of Fazbear Frights. So him geeking out over is super charming, and I really like this line.
You up in a furry suit and make you walk around saying,
and that classic phone guy, everything is cool, but you also might die, but everything is cool.
I wasn't joking about the fire. That's a real risk.
I really wish we got to see more of this guy. He's really funny. But for the 2 calls he gets, he knocks it out of the park. And the BB minigame is a great introduction to the good ending concept. Playing a simple minigame and finding out that there's a lot more to it when you can't find that last balloon. Although every night has these, the end of night minigame puts you as Freddy in the FNaF 1 location. Shadow Freddy leading you to a room not present in that game. You can't enter, but when you try, Purple Guy disassembles you. It isn't original to this night, as each one has one almost exactly the same, but it is still cool. And we are technically introduced to Remnant, even if we didn't know it yet. Anyway, the actual night. Wouldn't sitting through 13 minutes of nothing be boring? Well, the night is actually way shorter to accommodate for that, which is so cool to me. Sure, this technically happened in Pizzeria Simulator 2, but here you actually have a good phone call to listen to and tons of brand new locations to admire until the night ends. I love this night, but obviously it isn't challenging at all, so I'll refrain from putting it any higher. Remember beating the 5th night at Freddy's and then finding out there was a 6th night? Yeah, me either. But I'm sure it was a super cool surprise. The night is hard, and if you don't know about camera stalling, you are screwed, and even then it'll still take a few attempts. However, nothing unique happens during the actual night. No call, no new characters, just a tough challenge. But I think the idea of a 6th night is enough to keep it this high. But it's pretty close, honestly. For beating it, you get some well-deserved overtime. Awesome? The best main game night of FNaF 1 is 4, and I think it's pretty obvious why.
Hey, do me a favor. Maybe sometime you could check inside those suits in the back room. I'm gonna try to hold out until someone checks. Maybe it won't be so bad. Yeah, I always wondered what was in all those empty heads back there. You know. Oh no.
Do I need to say more? This was one of the most shocking moments in the entire series. But the rest of the night is more FNaF 1, so. Now this is a good night 5. FNaF 2 starts to get real at this point, being pretty unforgivable with its gameplay. Not as bad as the next night, but it's still a good start to the bullshit. That being said, aside from the paycheck revealing the name Jeremy Fitzgerald, the phone call is once again the most interesting part of this night. The first mention of Fredbears ever comes from here, and the lockdown arc was always interesting to me. I wonder what happened. Night 3 of FNaF 4 is not interesting in the slightest. It's the middle night with nothing new being added. But the end of the night minigame is one of the best in the whole series. You start at Fredbear's, but you get to leave this time. You get to see the neighborhood as you walk home, bumping into a lot of new faces, mostly just making fun of you. It gives us the origins of Plushtrap, and we find this tiny Torchica missing her beak in this little secret area. All along the path, you can spot Fredbear in a bunch of wacky places. And after watching TV and finding out the date, the minigame ends with the jump scare from the brother. So yeah, that rocks. I wish more of these end-of-night minigames felt more like an adventure. Most of these events are just walking from one place to another and then it's over. Even Sister Location Custom Night was technically like that. But this really feels like a journey with so much to discover along the way. I wish Sky would do this kind of thing more often. Using these hints to solve puzzles needed to enter the FNaF 3 minigames is so satisfying, even if I just followed a guide. The best night for minigames easily has to go to night 2, which has you play 2 in one night. Typing this code onto the buttons in the arcade machine lets you play Mangle's Quest. You explore a hallway while collecting parts of yourself while avoiding this kid who will end your run. When getting to the end, you can once again jump out of the side of the building, and if you completed BB's minigame before this, you'll land on balloons that take you to a big birthday cake. Now that you have this, you can head back to BB's air adventure, go to the exit, landing on your own balloons. Following these leads you to a gray crying child, and if Mangle collected the cake, you give a big piece to them. Even outside of the minigame, Springtrap and Phantom BB both get added tonight, so there's a lot to take in for night 2. Phone Dude returns for one last call, well, more like half of one, but his
We found one. A real one.
It's one of my favorite FNaF quotes ever. He then gets replaced with Phone Guy exploding Springlock suits, which is kind of, boring. Wow, all things considered, this is a content-packed night. I'm glad things are starting to get a bit more interesting. The final FNaF 3 night is Nightmare, or Night 6. This time without the aggressive cheat. But don't underestimate it, as it is still extremely tough, especially with how slow this game could feel. It was really hard deciding if I should even put this one this high, as there is no minigame or new characters, but I think that the best Phone Guy call, extras menu, and the building burning down at the end, off screen, and of course Springtrap surviving that fire made this night memorable, all things considered. So I think this spot fits overall. Ultimate Custom Night is truly an ultimate custom night. I mean, duh, I thought that was obvious. With over 50 characters from all across the series, it is a wonderful love letter to the end of the original saga. And as the last Scott FNaF game, it felt wrong to leave it out here. But counting all of this as one night seemed wrong as well, so I'm actually going to count it as 3. The main game and all of its quirks, 50-20 mode for obvious reasons, and last and definitely least, all of the different presets. This is our first custom night type entry, so let me explain how this is gonna work. There is no way I am counting all of the presets as different nights. That would clog up the list and be no fun to talk about. So even though they give you a star in the menu once you beat them, I'm counting these all as one night, which seems unfair, but with this still only being in the middle of the list, it isn't that bad. Before working on this video, the custom night challenges were one of the only nights I just never played. Sure, I tried out Bear's Attack and maybe paid attention, but those nights were just so boring, and when I play Ultimate Custom Night, I'd much rather make my own presets or go for high scores. Without counting Chaos, this is how high the points get. And here is with Chaos. Do you see why I was never a fan? But after completing every single one for this video, I appreciate them a lot more now. Sure, the 1s and even the 2s are so fucking boring, but the later nights are a fantastic way of mixing things up and forcing you out of your comfort zone to play with tactics you've never even considered before. Like, my high score at the time was only 8,000. I never played with Foxy, Marionette, Toy Freddy, or any of the other super annoying characters. So actually being forced to learn how to defeat them for once gave me a nice taste of 50-20, something I know I'm never going to be able to beat. With that being said, a lot of these presets are pretty awful and piss easy, but I'm getting ahead of myself. I am now going to go through all 16 Ultimate Custom Night challenges in a mini side ranking, telling you what they did right, and of course, what they did wrong. The worst Ultimate Custom Night preset is probably not what you're expecting. It isn't a one night or even a numbered night at all. It's one of the very few standalone presets. In fact, there are only 3 of those. The night in question is Springtrapped. This night literally fails on every aspect of what makes a fun custom night challenge. How about we list them? Number 1, theme. If the theme is supposed to be Springlock suits, then why is JJ and Trash in the gang here? And why the hell isn't Withered Golden Freddy? Okay, so it can't be that. How about animatronics that trap you? That could make sense. How exactly does JJ trick you in a way exclusive to her and not BB? What about Night Marion? And why isn't Baby in the night? That's like her whole thing. And even if you want to make the argument that the night is just supposed to be a fun challenge, literally the only challenge to be found here is Lefty, and guess what? You can just death coin him. So what exactly is the gameplay like? Close the top vent on Springtrap and then wait for Afton to show up once. Are you kidding me? The very next challenge after this one is Old Friends. Scott, how did you not realize how pathetic this preset was? Night Marion and Trash in the gang aren't even at 20. Like, what is the point? To make it easier? That was so necessary. Wow, I was really struggling with this one, guys. This is the only night in this entire list, aside from night 1 of FNaF 4, that got 0 points. Not a single one, which is just incredibly sad. I don't have anything else to say about this night, or at least nothing that wouldn't be just me repeating myself. And I'm already going to be doing that enough during this segment, so let's move on. The nights labeled 1 are so boring here. You'll notice a trend going forward. My favorite part of Ultimate Custom Night is keeping up with all these convoluted systems and cycling through them to make sure everyone gets all the attention that they need. It's so fun! But in Pay Attention 1, there is literally nothing, meaning that you are pretty much just sitting there in the office for 4.5 minutes. Sure, the other one nights don't have much of anything going on either, but at least they have something. This night has nothing. Just nothing at all. The Marionette is here, and unless you want to deal with Funtime Foxy, which I don't, you need to wind the box. But at 5, you don't even need to use the global music box or even really wind the box all that often. This is so boring. Let's just move on. Anything good I may have to say about Pay Attention 1 is something the other nights do a lot better. Here is the one night I'm sure people were expecting to be in last place. Bears Attack 1. And yeah, it's pretty damn boring. And is mainly the reason I never beat the Ultimate Custom Night challenges, since it left such a bad taste in my mouth. All you do is close the left door sometimes. But at least the theming is kind of cute. This night doesn't even include all the bears, like come on. The Chaos set of challenges are an interesting idea for an Ultimate Custom Night preset. Just a bunch of random characters shoved together to make a unique challenge you normally wouldn't get to see. All 3 of them include the mediocre melodies. I'm not saying they're bad or anything, I'm saying Chaos 2 is bad. But don't worry, I'll be praising the other 2 later. I'm just saying that they have a lot of missed potential to make something truly unique. So the reason this one is so much worse than 1 in this case is because 1 has all these amazing ideas that it just replaces. Like, the first Chaos has Toy Freddy and Marionette, forcing you to pick one that you have to deal with. 2 just has Marionette. There isn't even a replacement for Toy Freddy. You know, someone else to make that choice with. It's just Marionette. Obviously, I'm gonna death coin him. But not only that, they also got rid of Jacko, Chica, and Ballora, who mix up the gameplay surprisingly well. Oh yeah, I'd love to replace them with all 3 plushie characters. You know what that means for the gameplay, right? Say goodbye to your use of the cameras. And since you're already cam stalling, that's another character who just can't kill you. They didn't even add Nedbear and Orville. They just set the 3 that literally don't do anything to 5. Oh yeah, they still get stuck in the audio lore. Such unique gameplay. Wow, I'm really fascinated here. All you do during this night is put your mask on sometimes. Are you serious? Not even a vent dweller? How is this chaos? Everything is ordered so perfectly. 3 useless melodies, 3 plush characters, 1 Deathcoin victim, 2 toys, all 3 posh pizzeria. Like, what happened, Scott? Didn't think all 3 phantoms should have been allowed? Everything in this night feels like it works together to suck. And for a night named Chaos, that is a very bad thing. Double entry alert! We got a double entry here! Creepy Crawlies 1 and 2 suck almost equally. The theme is half-assed. Like, it's supposed to be vent users, right? Why are Marionette and Music Man here? And not BB and JJ? Or even Toy Bonnie and Toy Chica? And don't say you forgot the Crawlin event behind you because Witherbody also does that and he's here. Is it just creepy characters who crawl? The literal definition? Then why isn't Nightmare Mangle in this? You included Phantom Mangle. Anyway, pointless, boring theme aside, is the night actually fun to play? Who do you think I am? Deathcoin Marionette, close the top vent, you can't die. The only reason I put these nights above the others is that it actually included the lethal melodies. So you do have to use the heater once in a while. Trust me, those guys at 20 should not be underestimated. But just use the heater when Music Man gets mad, you'll be fine. Literally the only reason I have that one unique point is because after being set to 1 and 2 is kind of funny. Hey, we're finally getting somewhere noteworthy. Ladies' Night returns once more, and I'll never not love this theming. And wow, the combination these characters make together is actually amazing. Sure, most of them are at 1, so it's not like fun, but you actually get to do something, finally. The reason I love these nights is because you can actually play the way the game wants you to and not just cheat the system. It was weirdly fun to listen out for Chica or collect all the fast coins for Circus Baby or even block the vent dwellers with the actual snares. Or hell, even just moving the wet floor sign. And sure, it isn't anything amazing or exclusive, but it's what I want to see in a custom night preset. A showcase of how these characters play and how they affect each other. I know I sound biased, but be quiet. I only give it 1 point higher than Creepy Crawlies 2. There is still stuff I don't like here, mainly Happy Frog. Like, yeah, she's a lady, but without the other, she just seems out of place. I'm just getting ahead of myself. I'll save the rest of my praise for 2 and 3. Pay Attention 2 isn't really a good night, but it is technically better than Ladies Night 1, so I just decided to move it up. Just like before, you Deathcoin Funtime Foxy and just deal with Marionette. But I wish they added Toy Freddy. You had to pay attention to him, so it would have fit perfectly and actually gave this night some challenge. But nope, just turn on the GMB when MM gets mad and keep an eye out for NBB. Simple night, but could be a lot worse. Double entry alert! Yet another double entry alert! So for some reason, Bears Attack 1 didn't have Toy Freddy or Nightmare Freddy, so they are just added in 2. And then no one is added in 3, so what the hell's the point? The reason 2 and 3 are so high compared to 1 is that Toy Freddy actually forces you to deal with Lefty. So you actually need to do something. I know that I'm being harsh, but to be fair, Lefty is fun to handle. Keeping the room cool is tough sometimes, especially with Nedbear needing to be dealt with. But with no Music Man, nothing's really stopping you from keeping the fan on the whole night, but whatever. I wish he was set to 20 and 3, but that's safe for the Doorway Bears. Oh, and Helpy gets up to 10, and then back down to 5. Wait, what? I'll try not to repeat myself when talking about Chaos 1, since I already talked about what I like about it. Toy Freddy being here forces you to have to take care of Marionette, and with so many targets, it might not be easy to just rewind the box. But also, 5 is kind of pathetic, so don't even worry about it. Jacko Chica being here means that you actually need to pay attention to your heat, and Music Man will make it even tougher to do that. Rockstar Bonnie gets his first appearance, and with how easy this night is, you might actually be able to find his guitar and beat him the normal way. It's a good mechanic, but with locked cam movements for most nights, it makes him almost impossible to actually deal with him. Like I was saying with Ladies Night 1, it isn't the most notable night, but it's a pretty fun one. Speaking of Ladies Night, 2! The only new addition is Nightmare Mangle at 1. Yeah, it just requires you to get a few more fast coins, not a huge change. I talk about the gender-confused foxes in the room, but I'll save that for the last variant. I don't have much to say except for Ladies Night 1, but a bit harder. I like Belora's mechanic, I don't know. I only really struggled with 2 presets in this entire batch, which I have to say is a little sad in a game this challenging. I wanted a lot more weird and wacky presets that push me to my limits. But really, that's not what these are for. They're for teaching new and old players alike how to play Ultimate Custom Night. And while I do wish there was more challenge here, if they would all be as bad as old friends, Never fucking mind. So, Old Friends is a very strange case for me. My heart and my brain says this challenge is fucking stupid and dumb and way too much of a difficulty spike after fucking Springtrapped of all presets. Plus, the theme isn't even well done. If you want to say it's classic game characters, you're wrong because so many 2-1s are just left out. I mean, these two even have a synonym for old in their name. And why is Baby there? And where the hell is Golden Freddy? But if you want to say, no, it's Afton's victims. Well, who the hell was shoved in BB? And once again, where the hell is Golden Freddy? But then there's the fact that some of these characters that are here suck. Phone Guy and BB literally affect nothing in the whole night. Like, at least JJ would have made the door animatronics more lethal. Am I saying this needs to be harder? Hell no! Toy Freddy is the prime suspect for the death coin, and since you need to watch 2B to stall Baby, Foxy is all pretty much luck to if he kills you or not. The Marionette and Chica require insane attention to your systems, and there's a good chance that you'll actually run out of power with these guys requiring you to close all 3 doors anytime you check the cameras, which you'll only now realize is way too often. Sure, the hardest part is the beginning, and once you get through that, you just need to stay alive. And that only makes it even more painful when you miss the Marionette's global music box cycle by 1 second. That is, if Foxy doesn't make it to your office first. This was the only night I ever used a power-up on, as I'm horrible at grinding coins using BB. And yes, I'm aware that all I've done is complain about this abysmal night. So why the hell is it 4th best? Well, when I beat this night for the first time, I threw my hands in the air and screamed, yes! It was the most accomplished I felt for my entire replay of the series. I was so proud of myself and I really felt like I earned it. And not only that, but learning how to play this game with all these crazy techniques was so fun. I watched videos, thanks DJ Sturf and Ambience, practiced for hours, and I even got my husband involved to keep track of the global music box cycles and when to double flip to switch Foxy back to Pirate's Cove. But at the end of it all, I did it mostly on my own. I don't know how, but I did it, and it was amazing. Sure, this night sucks my ass, but it was actually a really fun and unique challenge using a ton of characters I almost never see in Custom Night, and it's one of the best. Of course, not the best, as the last 3 are actually fun to play. Okay, this is just Ladies Night again. Ladies Night 3 is fun, but I already explained why. Maybe I shouldn't have wasted that so soon. And maybe it's weird to talk about what I don't like about a night so late. But you all know I really enjoy this night and its theming, so whatever. This night, Funtime Foxy is added, which could be scary if another death coin victim was even in the night. The Marionette is a good candidate, but overall, I'm kind of happy they weren't here, as he seems to be in every preset ever in this game. It would have also made my argument about their gender harder to justify, so I guess I'm happy to have one more piece of evidence for that. Speaking of gender and Funtime Foxy, 3 out of the 4 Mangles are added to this night, despite only one of them using both he and she pronouns, which is kinda lazy in my opinion. I do think it's funny how they kept getting added on, but the fact that Scott decided to make them all use he only to just ignore that to make a funny joke again annoys me. Even more so that Phantom Mangle isn't even here for some reason. What about this? Have Mangle be in Ladies Night and then remove her in the next one. That would be funny, but no. I don't know, I'm probably just being stupid, but the fact that Scott just kind of gave up on Mangle's gender for anyone who isn't the fox himself is just a tiny bit sad to me. But I'm getting off topic at this point. What do you want me to say? Jacko, Chica, and Ballora make this night super unique. Cool? Cool. Moving on. Like I said earlier, I only ever had trouble with 2 of these presets. The first was obviously Old Friends, but the second was also obviously Chaos 3. It wasn't unbearable like that last one, but it still took me quite a few attempts, and the road to beating it was a lot of fun. It is a great final unique challenge. Well, kinda. There isn't too much exclusive to this night, especially since no Marionette, Toy Freddy, or Funtime Foxy makes this a really easy choice just to death coin Foxy. Thank God, by the way. But I don't think this night needed to be super unique. I think of it as a combination of everything we've learned so far, and even if it wasn't executed perfectly, I still find it pretty fun. That means Lefty gets plenty of attention, and even though Jacko Chica would have made this night even better as Nedville and Rockstar Freddy, Leech of the Heater being used a lot, but with Music Man wanting it quiet, I don't know, it's still kind of fun to play like she is there for the sake of keeping him happy. Nightmare BB and Nightmare Own require you to stay on your toes. It might be the leading cause of your death, and while I would much prefer no cam stalling, that is another tactic you must use, as with this many characters, coin grinding is almost impossible past 10. Rockstar Bonnie is probably this night's claim to fame, as he is set at 20 here and nowhere else. But luckily for you, he only shows up in intervals of 13, so there actually is some strategy involved with him. But aside from discount Markiplier, there really isn't anything else exclusive to this night. But you know what? I'm okay with that. Sure, them forcing you to deal with Toy Freddy or even just Ballora or Jacko Chico would have made this a bit more interesting, but honestly, I'm just glad I wasn't stuck on this for days. These challenges are not that interesting. I took a break halfway through just to have a little more excitement and get back to 8,000 points, and wow, it was so much more fun. Before I introduce the first place Ultimate Custom Night Challenge Night, I want to let you guess. What is the one thing I've literally been begging for this entire mini ranking? Lefty, Jacko Chica, Lefty, Jacko Chica, Lefty, Jacko Chico. Yeah, obviously Nightmare's Attack is my favorite preset. Yes, it isn't the most unique. Wait, what am I saying? Yes, it is! This is easily the most creative preset. And even though some characters being left out is questionable, there isn't one character here I wouldn't consider a nightmare. I mean, thank you for adding music, man. You are a genius. I'll give you one thing. It isn't the most interesting theme, but it is probably the only Ultimate Custom Night exclusive theme that does it justice. Oh yeah, and the night is actually fun. It isn't the most challenging night, but it will give you a bit of trouble, especially if you jump right into it. But all the practice I got made it go by way too fast. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. The combination of Lefty, Jacko Chica, and Music Man is so much fun to deal with. I'm loving this dream polycule I've made up. You have to keep the room cold, but don't make too much sound, but also remember to use the global music box to calm Lefty down. A few more characters would have made these even more hectic and fun, but I don't care. This is so good. Yes, I know you can just death coin Lefty, which is my main complaint. I wish Funtime Foxy was on, so we were forced to deal with him. But this might be the only time I'll ever say this about a character, but I just didn't death coin him, as Lefty is really fun to have as a threat, and I value fun much higher than difficulty. But with Nightmare Yo, Nightmare BB, Nightmare Freddy, and Wither Golden Freddy, this isn't exactly an easy night. It's the best of both worlds and easily my favorite challenge in the game. So there you have it. I'm not gonna say these are amazing. Obviously it would be a lot higher if it was, but I think I underestimated these challenges. What I was expecting was an epic after game challenge that would kick my ass and call me a bitch, and I didn't see them as the teaching tool that they actually are. And even though Ultra Custom Night's campaign mode did it way better, I'm still kinda in shock that these presets made me like Jacko Chica and Lefty in this game. I was not expecting that. Almost every sister location night is getting ranked pretty high on the uniqueness scale, because even if you don't like the night itself, you can't argue that pretty much everything being different from each night makes them all very different from one another. And night 3 isn't an exception, as I think this is the night that has the most variety out of any of them, but it lacks a lot in the fun department. We start the night with my all-time favorite hand unit line,
where you get to really ask yourself, what am I doing with my life? What would my friends say? And most importantly, will I ever see my family again?
It's just so out of nowhere and contrasting with all of his other lines. I really love how disappointed he sounds. We then get some casual bongos, which is probably the worst of those gags, especially since it replaces any fun dialogue for going through the vents. We then get to see Ballora ripped into pieces by the mini Renas, onto which hand unit says,
"Great, it looks like everything is as it should be in Ballora Gallery."
Which is a masterclass of horror and comedy, by the way. This render is amazing and so underrated. No one ever talks about this. And Funtime Foxy is just not there, but we're going through anyway. The Funtime hallway walk is just Ballora's, but worse, making it a little boring as you just take 3 steps, flash, wait a few seconds, and then continue. Not exactly fun or scary. And when you reach parts in service, you get to be up close and personal with Freddy, which is awesome, if this minigame wasn't just hitting 5 buttons. It's still cool, and the fake out faceplate jump scare is funny, but it's a little underwhelming. Bonbon then suddenly disappears, and you have to like keep the light down here and wait for him to slowly move up by his shoulders and touch his button, which is just so cryptic and stumped a lot of new players, including me. Once retrieving both chips, you head back through the Funtime Auditorium with a shocking lack of Foxy. We then get one of the only scripted jump scares in the series. Aw, no Immortal in the Restless? Okay. Bonus alert! Epic bonus alert! Instead of going through Funtime Auditorium, if you go and check on Circus Baby, ignoring hand unit's wishes, she tells you about her first and only day on the job.
Did you know that I was on stage once? It wasn't for very long, only one day. What a wonderful day, though.
Listing how many kids she saw until only one was left.
I can make ice cream, although I only did it once. A little girl, standing by herself. My stomach opened, and there was ice cream. There was screaming for a moment, but only for a moment. Why did that happen?
This story is chilling and really makes you feel for her, which makes that ending even more perfect. But I will say, her listing the kids felt like a code, but that never led to anything, so that's kinda weird. All things considered, this night is more fun social location dialogue, circus baby lore, and some amazing character renders. But also a lot of boring rehashes and poorly explained game mechanics. Well, still better than most of 1 through 4, so. No one was expecting Golden Freddy to reappear as a regular character in FNaF 2. And when he did during Night 6, it was so cool, especially since he was just as mysterious as ever, his disembodied head flying towards the camera when he kills you, and having two very different and poorly explained mechanics that made an already tough night even worse. Oh my god, this phone call, this fucking phone call, man. We get so much in this call. The "what on earth are you doing there?" is performed so well. And of course, I love the nod at the fandom joke about always coming back, even on a night you aren't even scheduled. He sounds so annoyed and worried throughout the entire call. We get a mention of a yellow suit being used, which is probably why the place is under investigation, being closed down, and according to Phony, why the animatronics are acting up. He then says we're being put on the day shift at Freddy's, and then we get some foreshadowing. Well, after shadowing? The phone guy taking the night shift, which eventually leads to his own death.
We have one more event scheduled for tomorrow, a birthday.
Who would schedule a birthday during an investigation? This better not be a setup for something. So yeah, this night really is this high because of a less than a minute long sound clip. Yes, I'm biased, don't remind me. Now, it'll be hard to speak on this night as I've never actually beaten it or really gotten into the process of how to beat it. But 50/20 mode looks miserable to complete. But according to some dedicated FNaF fans, it isn't all that bad once you get the hang of it, so just ignore me, I guess. I mean, not to brag or anything, but 9,100 is my score, so yeah, I'm kinda that guy. That being said, the weeks-long journey for Dawko beating this and Scott making it harder and harder before release is one of the most fun times I've ever had in this fandom. And the interview we got out of it is all that I could have hoped for. But for the actual night, XOR exclusively appears here, glitching out because, well, now that all the characters are active at max level, she doesn't know what to do anymore. So she adds all 6 secret characters to the game, making your attempt even more taxing, as you'll need to check plush chat before getting back to camera stalling, using the power IC to cool Nightmare Chica's mouth in between global music box cycles, booping noses, and 3 kinds of vision impairment, leaving you wide open for everyone to just randomly decide to kill you. But if you actually manage to finish the game getting the unbeatable score of 10,060, a little underwhelming, you get this cutscene, showing that even after beating the game's toughest challenge, Golden Freddy will never let Afton leave. The way the suit twitches, the exact same as Springtrap in the FNaF 3 trailer, is such a cool and chilling callback. It's nothing special, and as a reward for this, definitely not worth it. But on its own, this cutscene perfectly summing up the game's entire story makes it so amazing to me. And yes, I know it's actually a reward for beating 9,800, but come on, this was clearly the ending cutscene. Scott just wanted to let Dawko celebrate. This night's a little weird. Nightmare from FNaF 4, I mean, what else is new? I love this night, it's perfect FNaF 4 gameplay, but it just kinda gets overshadowed by the night before and the one directly after this one. And because of a stupid rule I made up, I can't count one of the big factors that makes this night so iconic. But it is still a great showcase of FNaF 4's gameplay with a twist right in the middle. It's a normal, albeit super tough FNaF 4 night until you hit 4 AM where all of the characters vanish and are replaced, just like yesterday, but this time by a brand new one, Nightmare, who is just Nightmare Fredbear but worse. But he is a super cool surprise with the chilling jump scare reminiscent of Golden Freddy, I guess. Once you actually beat the night, you are brought to a blank screen with nothing but a locked chest in the middle, lit up by a spotlight, a crazy juxtaposition to the 8-bit minigames from the rest of the game. You can click on the locks, but nothing seems to change. And after a little while, this quote appears on screen: "Some things are best left forgotten for now." It then fades away, never to appear in the series again. I know that this ending is hated by a lot of fans, and this endless cliffhanger that will never be resolved is annoying, but this ending personally not only gives me chills, but hope for the rest of the series, moving forward while keeping what happened in mind. And maybe I'm looking too far into it, but that's personally how I see it. And honestly, it's one of my personal favorite FNaF endings. So yeah, this night is just night 6, but with a worse character, but that ending is enough to keep it this high in my opinion. That being said, this night had a huge addition to it later on that I decided was big enough to count as its own night, so that leaves it here. Not not bad, all things considered. A night at Freddy's that changes halfway through playing it is genius. And getting to play more of Fredbear's Night is a gift on its own. I already explained why this night is great in the Nightmare section, since it's the same exact night but easier and with less new stuff. But ignoring all that, this night did it first and was the conclusion of the crying child's story in this game. We see his friends disappear one by one while this heartbreaking music plays. The plush Fredbear promises to put him back together, the most iconic quote from the series, as the child finally flatlines, passing from his injuries. Yes, it isn't the most dramatic or intense ending, but it is a somber and emotional goodbye to this game's main storyline, and for that I really respect it, even if I do like the endings around it a bit more. So the score of this night is a 9, and the last two were 11 and 10. As you can see, nothing really new happens, and the fun is pretty low as well, so why the hell does this go ahead of those? Henry Emily.
Watch, listen, and be full.
Connection terminated. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Elizabeth. If you still even remember that name, but I'm afraid you've been misinformed.
The speech given by Heather Masters and Dave Steele at the end of Saturday is the best thing to come out of this franchise, and I mean that.
You have all been called here, into a labyrinth of sounds and smells, misdirection, and misfortune. A labyrinth with no exit. A maze with no prize.
The night itself is bullshit and you'll need a guide to beat it, and nothing new besides this happens. And since it's all the same as the other nights, it's not all that fun. But this cutscene is so good, it makes it all worth it. And I mean all of it, not just this one night, the whole game.
I should have known you wouldn't be content to disappear. Not my daughter. I couldn't save you then. So let me save you now.
Yeah, it's not exactly a hot take to say that Saturday is an amazing night, despite all of it. I would break it down and talk about how amazing it is, but you already know all of this. And plus, I've already done that in my characters videos, so I think I'll just move on. You get the point.
Although for one of you, the darkest pit of hell has opened to swallow you whole. So don't keep the devil waiting, old friend.
Man, these renders give me goosebumps. Well, the whole thing does, so that's not a big shock.
This ends, for all of us, in communication.
Okay. So hear me out. What if there was one more night and it was exactly the same as the last two you just played, just way harder? And you can only play it once. If you go to the extras menu in FNaF 4 and type 2020 on your keyboard, Night 8 appears, replacing Nightmare. This night is no joke. It's nowhere near as hard as the other game's hardest challenge, but it will still kick your ass. Just a little less than usual. There is no reward for beating this night. In fact, you can't even play the night again without resetting your entire game, which certainly makes it a little unique. But the reason this is this high is because this is one of the most fun FNaF challenges in the entire series. It is so rewarding to play this game good, and it makes all of this bullshit worth it. FNaF 4 is not as hard as the other ones, but in this case, the difficulty actually makes you feel like a badass as you kick Nightmare's dick and balls clean off. And of course, you still get to defend yourself against Foxy, and that's always a joy. This is probably the only night that is this high on the list just because of how fun and rewarding it is to play. Even without a big ending cutscene, I just love this thing, and I'm proud to have beaten it. Okay, so even though I like Night 8 a lot more, I think it's only fair to say that Sister Location's final night is definitely better. It isn't all that difficult, but it's one of the most stressful nights in the entire series. You start with exotic butters and mention of technicians who haven't gone home yet. Soon after entering the main room, you find out exactly where those technicians ended up, being hung above the stages to trick the hand unit into thinking Ballora and Foxy are in their place. You then work your way through the Funtime Auditorium again with no Foxy, and head into Parts and Service, getting your first look at Circus Baby in person, her obviously towering over you.
Remember how I said I could pretend? Something bad happened yesterday. Something bad always happens.
She tells you that you need to receive a chip from inside of her so that she'll be able to talk to you even after you leave.
There is something bad inside of me. I can't be fixed. I want you to save what is good.
So she tells you a code that you have to type into this tiny little panel with no numbers that is randomized every time you play it. Yeah, this gives me a heart attack. When you leave, you're told that Ballora is in the room with you and that she will kill you if you don't follow Baby's instructions. Okay, quick tangent. Was I the only person who didn't understand how this part of the game worked? They tell you to go left, but they don't specify how you actually do that? Do you look left with your mouse? Press A and W? No one was having this problem, so I just kept doing the code part over and over again, just hoping to figure it out. And even now, I can't tell you how it works. I just do everything all at once and something activated, so whatever. I won't let that affect my rating too much, as it's probably just me not seeing the obvious. You then find yourself on the wrong end of the scooping room from yesterday, this time right in front of the titular scooper.
Circus Baby has already been here today.
Circus Baby then reveals her plan to use your skin to escape the underground facility.
I've been out before, but they always put me back. But if we looked like you, then we would have somewhere to go. The scooper only hurts for a moment.
And then this ending is crushing, and it is amazing. Sure, in hindsight, it's pretty obvious that Baby was probably evil, but she was so good at pretending that I desperately wanted to believe she wasn't. I mean, she even tricked her own voice actor. And the reveal that Baby was Ballora all along, and that the chip you received was just a way to explain why you could still hear her in the room with you, is just genius. What a perfectly thought out story and an amazing twist for the best villain FNaF ever saw. But now to be a bit mean, this night is kinda boring. Aside from that keypad segment, you just kinda walk a lot. But eventually, I did decide that everything else was just good enough to bump this above the FNaF 4 nights, as I have a huge bias for Circus Baby, and this is one of her best moments in the series. The last few entries on this list are all super late game nights, or even the big final conclusion to the game, except for this one. Yeah, this one is a night 2. All the other night 2s are at the very bottom of this list, so what did this one do so differently? It was this location? Oh. Okay, that makes sense. This night is so much fun! It's one of the easiest nights on this list. It is a night 2, all things considered. But I don't really give a shit about that. All I care about is the amazing set pieces we get to see for the first time. Tons and tons of new characters, the pure variety, and of course, the humor is top notch. Right off the bat, we get Angsty Teen as a replacement for Hand Unit, and he is hilarious. His vent story is definitely my favorite.
Funny story, a dead body was found in this vent once. Okay, so not that funny, but it's a story.
But I also love his sadistic,
let's zap her,
and the creepy sounds he makes are, well, creepy. I also have a soft spot for that hide and seek line.
Oh, Circus Baby, we aren't here to play hide and seek.
Once Hand Unit leaves to reboot the building, there's this great moment of silence where all the vent doors open and we hear the computer voice letting us know that something is moving around us. Then we get to meet Circus Baby for the first time in the whole game.
I don't recognize you. You are new. I remember this scenario, however.
And then she actually acknowledges how the guards constantly come back night after night, even after being threatened with death. It is such a good line.
It's a strange thing to want to do. I'm curious what events would lead a person to want to spend their nights in a place like this. Willingly.
Honestly, I'd go over all of this dialogue if I could. It is all so well written. But I'll move on. Go listen to it yourself, or better yet, play the game. You hide under the desk and pull the sheet with holes shut to avoid the Biddy Bab's attack, which is super easy to avoid, and with this being one of their only appearances in the series, it's kinda disappointing, but it's still neat, I guess. Especially the voice line. Circus Baby comes back and warns us that if we listen to the Hand Unit,
you will die. Ballora will not return to her stage anymore.
The Ballora gallery walk is probably my favorite minigame. It's not hard, but seeing Ballora dancing in front of you is horrifying. And that Hand Unit jump scare always gets me.
It seems you are taking a long time.
Once we reach the end, we get a look at this game's Freddy, only lit up by the sparks of the breaker room. These renders are so creepy. This game is long and kinda boring, but the voice lines from both Funtime Freddy and Bon Bon are enough to keep my attention. And the reveal that this location is directly connected to the FNaF 4 house is so sick. When you finally finish, you get to leave, and while walking through Ballora Gallery, you can hear her speak.
Is someone there? I can hear someone creeping through my room. Perhaps not.
I wish she spoke more. Her song is so beautiful, man. Illumix, why did you do this to me? After getting back to the other side, we get to kick back with the next episode of The Immortal and the Restless, which is always a joy. I am very sorry for just breaking down the entire night point by point, but it is just such a fun experience the entire time. As a night 2, 2? This is crazy good! And I know there is better, but I think that this spot is perfect for this masterclass in horror, foreshadowing, and comedy. And I'm not sorry about that. Yes, Night 6 was probably a better surprise, but finishing that night and finding out that there's a Night 7 that you could fully customize is such an amazing reveal, and a perfect bonus for finishing the entire game. And even if the other games will end up doing it a lot better, I still think that FNaF 1's custom night is pretty great. Let's start with the negatives. Well, aside from 420, which we'll get to, there isn't actually that much to do here. Only 4 characters, no presets, no challenges, only one screen exclusive content, which can also be seen while playing on all 0 as well as the hardest mode. Oh, and of course when it originally came out, that 3rd star didn't even exist. But you can see Golden Freddy's jump scare by punching in 1987, which is a fun little Easter egg I kinda wish the other games kept up with. But the real reason I decided to keep it this high, besides just being an amazing idea, is 420 mode, which is ironically the only fun I still have with this game on a replay. It's very sad, I know, but dude, this game has 0 replay value. At least 420 is stupid difficult to the point that it's just funny. But of course, it's not so difficult that it's impossible like later games, but just enough to be one of the most fun final challenges in the series, which is precisely why I wanted it here. A few years back I did a let's play of the original FNaF game, and for that series I completed 420 mode for the first time ever, and finally 100%ing this game after all those years felt amazing. And of course learning all the tricks of the trade was cool too. Watching videos and seeing how the strategies have evolved, it's so fascinating. The impact that this single night had on the series going forward is undeniable. Every game needs a super hard bonus night with no real reward, just so stupid people can go after them. And I think that's one of the reasons why these games did so well. Stupid people wasting hours of their lives beating stupid hard challenges just to get a few pixels on the title screen. And when it first came out, no pixels on the title screen. And it makes me smile just thinking about it. I mean, think about it, this one night has spawned one of the biggest gaming communities of all time, the Max Mode community. And of course, everything they do is way more impressive than 420 mode. But you know what? I'll let the novelty of this being the first game to do it cloud my judgment just this once. While creating the Halloween update for FNaF 4, Scott took one look at Aggressive Nightmare and said, I can do better. No new nights were added to this update. Instead, to make sure old players didn't get bored while seeing the new characters, Scott added 4 new challenges that could be added to Nightmare, and once completed, would net you a star in the menu. The 4 add-ons alone getting you 1 small red star each, and 2 more blue stars for beating a combination of them. Yeah, obviously I'm not counting these as different nights. FNaF 4 already has like 8 nights, so instead I'm just counting them all as 1. Is that unfair? Yes, probably. But if I didn't, I'd have to consider all custom night presets as a night as well. FNaF 4 is fun as fuck, so I'm definitely not complaining about having a ton more to do. Most of these challenges add quite a bit to the game, and of course the new animatronics are so cool. If only Mangle would shut the hell up. When in the closet, that static never stops, making the audio cues harder to hear. Guess which one of the challenges is my least favorite? Beating Nightmare BB in the newly unlocked Fun with Balloon Boy will take an hour off of the challenge night, which is kind of pointless since beating BB takes about a minute or so, and 1 hour in FNaF 4 is a minute, so it really doesn't save much time. The obvious next step here would be to rank all the challenges. But before we start, I want to thank Ambience for creating really in-depth guides on how to beat these challenges. Thanks to him, I was able to learn things about these nights that are just not stated anywhere on the FNaF wiki. Like, get on it, guys. So if you're struggling with pretty much any FNaF challenge, go check out his videos. You won't regret it. Out of all 6 challenges, the worst one is easily Insta-Foxy. I mean, its only change takes away the best part of the gameplay loop. At the beginning of the night, Foxy or Mangle is immediately sent to the closet. So, what does this add to the game? In between checking the doors and the bed, you had to go to the closet and wait 7 seconds. That's it. I do think this night is slightly harder than Mad Freddy, but with Foxy being the only change, and that being a negative one, I refuse to put this boring night any higher. Also, quick warning, do not play this on a Halloween edition! Mangle static is obviously there the entire night, and it drowns out pretty much every other sound. It is way too loud! I tried to play all of these on Halloween edition so the footage would be more interesting, but I just couldn't with this one. It was impossible. I know what the obvious next choice is here, and that will be next. But I honestly believe that Blind All Nightmare is just boring. We'll get into All Nightmare a lot later, but that night is fun because of all the wacky changes. And learning and conquering them makes you feel smart. But Blind All Nightmare is literally just the same night again, but you can't see, which doesn't affect anything at all. And with 2 other challenges using it, the novelty kinda wore off with this one. I beat this in a few tries, and it didn't feel like a huge hurdle I just passed. It felt like another thing to check off the list. Definitely not worth the blue star. Mad Freddy isn't hard. Like, at all. In fact, it's the easiest challenge in my opinion. Just check the bed after doing pretty much anything and you'll be fine. Now, I've never been jump scared by Freddy before I played this, but actually I lied because I beat this without getting a jump scare. But at least it doesn't ruin the gameplay while adding nothing else like Insta-Foxy, it just adds nothing else. A good challenge is one that changes the entire game while keeping the same feeling of the original. Now, I wouldn't exactly say that blind mode does that, but it is really fascinating. The fact that you can play FNaF 4 without being able to see a thing makes this challenge so cool. Yeah, it's literally just Nightmare, meaning I beat it relatively quickly, but the fact that this even works as well as it does makes it one of my favorite FNaF challenges ever, even if the last 2 are better. Checking on all the characters is super simple. It's kind of surprising how much of this game really is just muscle memory and audio cues, and it was pretty satisfying to beat, even if it wasn't all that hard. I will say that Nightmare in blind mode can be pretty random, which is annoying. Nightmare can fake laugh, and it's up to you to decide whether it was real or not. And guess what? You only have enough time to check 2 out of the 3 spots he could possibly be. Guess wrong and you're starting from the beginning. It really isn't all that bad. As I said, blind mode isn't hard at all, but it will become a problem in a moment. You enjoying this footage? They may not be all that challenging on their own, but blind mode Insta-Foxy Mad Freddy is a tough night to get used to, even if I wouldn't consider it anywhere close to as difficult as some of the other game's final challenges. Insta-Foxy doesn't change all that much. Just check the bed after you close the closet for exactly 7 seconds. But with blind mode, I've lost the door quite a few times leading to my death. But if you keep the cycle of bed, left door, right door, bed again, then closet, it should be pretty easy for you to locate. Surprisingly, Freddy is the most annoying here. Yeah, seriously. The Mad Freddy challenge on its own is nothing. The Freddles are just too easy to manage even with everything else being thrown at you. But having to check that closet for exactly 7 seconds each time gives Bonnie and Chica a lot of time to get where they need to be, which will lead to your death every once in a while after checking the bed. Even waiting for Foxy's every time is fine by me, as while you're holding this door closed, you're constantly hearing movement and the Freddles, and it honestly makes it more stressful than boring. The real annoyance comes from Bonnie and Chica fake leaving. Sometimes when closing the door, Bonnie and Chica will just decide to not leave, but will still make the footstep sounds, meaning that you have to wait for them to leave twice. If this happens to you, you are most likely dead, as it is way too long to wait between checking Freddles. And while checking on them in between doors will obviously lead to your death, you just need to get lucky. This set of challenges strung together is tough, but doable, and you'll feel amazing once you finally beat it, seeing that final blue star in the menu. But, being fair, once you get to 4 AM, you're just fighting Nightmare again. No changes whatsoever. That is a very underwhelming way to end the max mode challenge, and is why this still isn't number 1. Here's an Ella's Weegee quick tip. Please use a stopwatch for this night. Each hour is exactly 1 minute long, so with one, it'll be very easy to tell when 4 AM is approaching. It also helps you to keep that closet door closed for exactly 7 seconds every time. Overall, this is a good night, but the bullshit randomness of Blind Nightmare kinda dampens it for me. And for the final and best FNaF 4 Halloween challenge, All Nightmare, for the simple fact that it changes so much for the entire night. All of the other challenges revert back to Nightmare at 4 AM, but this night reverts to Nightmare 20 seconds in. But it's actually a little bit more complicated than that. Let's start by saying the reason I like this challenge so much is that it was the first one I played and I went in completely blind. Well, no, I didn't have the blind sheet on. I mean, I've never played it before. If I played this night again, and technically I did for Blind All Nightmare, it just wouldn't be as fun for me as I know exactly what to do now. And maybe that's unfair, but whatever. Because I had a blast learning this night. Figuring out how to beat Nightmare using trial and error was so much fun, as way more changes than you'd expect. It is not just Nightmare for 6 hours like the name suggests. At the beginning of the night, you'll hear Nightmare or Nightmarion running back and forth completely randomly. He can run to the same door twice or just run infinitely between them. And whatever you do, you just cannot find him. That's because he doesn't exist yet. He actually spawns 20 seconds into the night. Another good use for that stopwatch. On my first playthrough, this was so disorienting, and using the house map cheat will only confuse you more. But knowing that, the rest of the night is simple. Just follow him like usual and close the door immediately. He gives you almost no time to linger, and will sometimes just kill you because he feels like it. But after a while, you'll get used to his increased speed and assholeness. When he eventually laughs, there is a greatly increased chance that it will be fake, which makes this night almost impossible to predict without randomly guessing. But after a while, it seems to always be fake. And after some research, you'll find out that after the first 2 real laughs, all after that will be fake. And armed with that knowledge, you'll beat it in no time. I've never played these challenges before getting this footage, and playing them for the first time, doing research and trial and error and learning them on my own brought me back to when new click-team games were still coming out. And that made beating these and finally completing FNaF 4 for the first time absolutely amazing. And that's why I love FNaF 4 and why these challenges are so high up. This idea was an amazing substitute for a custom night, and I genuinely don't think that this could have worked in any other FNaF game. Only FNaF 4 could have pulled this off, but I am surprised there wasn't an aggressive challenge to make the night more like Night 8, but I'm definitely not complaining about that. And with that long-ass mini ranking out of the way, let's move on to another game for a moment, huh? The epic conclusion to FNaF 3's story is next, and honestly, if the gameplay was more interesting like with FNaF 4, I would have easily bumped it up to get into the top 5. Why did I give this one 5 unique points? Well, yes, the gameplay isn't anything special or even hard as you can see, but I think that everything else around this night, from the minigames, the endings, and the beautiful music tracks, and yes, I meant multiple of each, makes this night one of the best in the series. Outside of the gameplay. At the end of the night, you play as a gray ghost instead of an animatronic. You go back to the room Shadow Freddy led you the last 4 times, him being strangely absent now. And when you approach the room, you are actually able to enter, seeing 4 other ghost kids blocking the exit so that purple guy can't leave. He is panicking, running around while rain drips from the ceiling. Eventually, he takes cover in the abandoned spring Bonnie suit, laughing at the kids he killed, only to have the suit, his own murder weapon, retracting its spring locks thanks to the moisture in the room, leaving him shaking on the ground while the kids fade away. Jesus Christ, this game is amazing. Now, if you haven't gotten the happiest day yet, you'll see this screen. As all the souls are still trapped in the animatronic suits, the lights stay on, and you are met with this absolutely chilling song. So, let's rewind and try this again. There's a figure of RWQ on the desk. If you double click it, you are sent to this game where you play as RWQ, who teleports through simplistic versions of the minigames you've played over the course of the game. Using your knowledge, you're able to escape the same way you did in the BB game, and through this, you're able to give the next kid cake. Now, before I move on, this music, well, not made by Scott or Leon Riskin, is beautiful. It makes me so sad whenever I reach this scene. It makes me want to cry. I'm so glad that this song, out of any of them, didn't get replaced in the ports. The tinny music box really sets the scene. It is tragic. Believe it or not, this is always a huge highlight of mine when replaying FNaF 3. If you click on this marionette poster, you are sent to the Happiest Day minigame. Presumably playing as Charlie, you give the crying child the last cake, which seemingly sets all of the souls free as their masks fall to the ground. Golden Freddy. If you beat the game now, all of the lights turned off with Golden Freddy hidden from view. And then this song plays. I know this is gonna sound a little familiar, but this song is beautiful. And as much as I'm not a fan of this as the official FNaF ending, I do think this is a pretty perfect and bittersweet moment to end the missing children's story on. Sure, they're free, but they're still dead, and they can never live as humans again, never see their families. Ironically, this song is called Don't Go, and even if it was replaced in the ports, and that song is really good on its own, feeling like more of a cliffhanger than an ending, this will forever be the good ending song to me, and that makes it one of the best FNaF endings ever. But Henry is better, so thank God the series continued. I think this is the ultimate example of my ranking system being flawed, because even with gameplay I'm not pumped about, this only being the 5th out of 7 nights, and the challenge being more of the same, this game's ending knocks it out of the park in all aspects, and makes me feel complete and utter sadness for the first time while playing this series, and making it an easy contender to be one of the best nights in the series. I believe that this is Scott's first FNaF game with a real story, and I honestly think he did a perfect job. Bravo, Scott. Thank you for everything. This is only 6th place. And here we are. This is definitely my most controversial opinion in this entire video. And that's really saying something. Are you ready for this? I really like Night 4 from Sister Location. Yes, really. It is fun, challenging, creepy as hell. It uses a super underrated character, challenging, has some of the best dialogue and visuals in the entire game. It's challenging, brings up a ton of new lore questions. Did I mention it's challenging? Before we get to that, the start of this night is pretty much just a long cutscene of Circus Baby talking, and her voice is so good, man.
I kidnapped you.
It's creepy but soothing at the same time somehow. Hearing her ramble for minutes is dreamlike. And that's not even mentioning that these lines are so beautiful.
I'm not going to hurt you. I am only going to keep you for a little while. Try not to wiggle, though. Do you know why they call it the scooping room? It's because, dummy, this is the room where they use the scooper. If you were a freshly opened pint of ice cream, how you would feel about something with that name? Do you ever play make-believe? Pretend to be one way when you are really the other? I'll open the faceplates for you. That way they can find you on the cameras.
I could literally play this entire scene. That's how good it is.
I don't think a freshly opened pint of ice cream feels anything at all.
But I'll move on. You get to hear the technicians that get murdered tomorrow as they load Ballora into the scooper. And then we get to see what the scooper even does. And let me tell you, it is haunting. Especially since you have to sit with Ballora's broken down body, her one eye staring at you all night. And the mini Ritas, oh my god, the mini Ritas. They constantly climb inside of your suit over and over again, more and more of them at a time, maybe hoping to hitch a ride with you when you leave. The sheer amount of them is just insane. It makes every second of this night even more stressful. And the ones that climb up the side need to be shaken off, which loosens the spring locks even more. And those getting too loose kills you. This night is so good at making you feel like everything is dangerous, and well, since you're in a spring lock suit, it is. Which, by the way, is the first time we're seeing the inside of one of these. Oh shit! Bucky Beaver's here! And now for what makes this night so infamous. It is hard as nails. In fact, I consider this as the original game's super hard night, although Ennard is definitely worse now. And Golden Freddy mode knocks both of them out of the water. But in the original release of the game, this was way too hard. So hard that Scott had to make a patch for it to be easier. This stopped a lot of players in their tracks and prevented them from experiencing the rest of this perfect game without cheating, including me. So don't get me wrong, I understand why most people despise this night, but I'm not most people. This is easily the night I look forward to most while replaying, which seems weird, but I'm telling you, man, when you get good at this night, it is so much fun to play. You feel so amazing when you finally beat it. Although the challenge is a lot less for me now since I've played it so much. However, revisiting the console versions gave me yet another taste of that brutal difficulty spike, as those controls were not great for a minigame like this. But even then, working on that for hours and finally kicking their tiny mini arena asses felt so fucking good. And it reminded me why this night is so fun for me. Challenge isn't everything, but sometimes that's all you need for a mediocre experience to become so much better, which is a huge reason to why I love it so much. And even then, with the dialogue and the visuals and the Immortal and the Restless cutscene after it's over, it's still a great night. Anyway, go leave a comment about how this night is bad because you suck at it so I can feel better about myself and my gaming skills. Yeah, this one doesn't seem quite fair, but since I decided to count it, I mean, yeah, obviously it's this high. It's a full-ass game. Originally being a custom night for Pizzeria Simulator, this mode became so large that it had to be expanded into its own game. Ultimate Custom Night is a free-to-play game featuring 50+ characters that you were able to set to whatever difficulty you want. Some of these characters are stinkers, but a lot of them are super cool. The Nightmare Bros and Ballora require you to listen to each side carefully to know when they're going to attack, just like their original appearances. Toy Freddy is now a retired gamer. Wither Chica is so thick she gets stuck in the vent. Lefty has these cool as hell renders and balances the game incredibly well. Phone Guy returns as a selectable character, the very last one in the main roster revealed. Foxy and Bonnie have to share Pirates Cove and now Bonnie's all pissed off about it. Trashing the Gang is here for some reason, along with a ton of other Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator characters. Happy has an air horn, El Chip owns his own competing restaurant, Rockstar Freddy wants to steal your money, Rockstar Chica is scared of wet floor signs, and Rockstar Foxy is the Foxy is a good guy theory comes come to life. Dee Dee from FNaF World returns. And when she shows up, she sings a little song and adds a new character to your night, but also has 6 exclusive characters she can add, and it's very hype when they actually show up. Also from FNaF World, Old Man Consequences! He has his own in-depth Easter egg continuing an ending from that game that actually connects to the physical FNaF World game, as beating it unlocks the 4 glitches down trophy in FNaF World. Whoa! Can anyone really claim this game isn't canon anymore? Not only that, but Wither Golden Freddy has his own Easter egg where he can spawn Fredbear to kill you, which was our first canon look at the character in person. Outside of characters, the office has 4 different skins filled to the brim with references to the games. My favorite being the returning faces in the sister location one. Egg Baby, Bonbon, Security Puppet, Biddy Bab, Mono Time Freddy from the 4th Closet's cover. It's so cool, man. Almost all of the animatronics in this game now have voices and brand new voice lines. This is incredible. As for most of them, this is the first and possibly last time we'll ever hear their voices. And it was always such a nice surprise. Some highlights are Nightmare Fredbear's low drone.
Let me put you back together.
The Foxy's classic pirate drawls.
You play with fire, and sometimes you get burned.
And also Nightmare BB's as well. I don't know why he sounds like that.
Flash that light on the want. It can't save you now.
Toy Chica and her FNaF World callbacks.
You won't get tired of my voice.
The Withers and their distorted, broken voices.
Even I could see Tom.
Especially Withered Chica. She's probably my favorite.
I was the first. I have seen everything.
Lefty's Rasp.
Pull me over soon.
And Puppet Sass.
But I'm not afraid of you. Not anymore.
Nightmare Own finally becoming interesting to me in the matter of 1 second.
She's a nightmare that you won't wake from.
Please deposit 5 coins. And of course, the mediocre melodies. I'm sorry, but Scott is a genius for making me care about the mediocre melodies. Happy Frog is silly and adorable.
Phew, ninja skills.
Dead Bear has a charming southern accent.
Don't you hate getting killed by obscure secondary characters?
And Pigpatch does not.
I consider it a dignified death.
Orville is just an adorable old man who's retired from doing magic.
I don't get out much, so you'll have to forgive my enthusiasm.
And Mr. Hippo is fucking Mr. Hippo, dude.
So I said to Orville, and this is what I said to him, I said, Orville, the birds may be dead.
I really don't have to explain that one. For every 800 points, you get a little anime-inspired cutscene. One being action-inspired, and the other being a slice-of-life high school drama. These are such amazing rewards, and I'm always happy to rewatch them. Yet another hilarious idea from Scott with just perfect artwork. Like, look at these character designs. This is insane. Oh my god, and the music! This main title song, Illustrophobia, I believe that's how you pronounce it.
Not even close.
Is one of the best in the series. It's such a great song that fills you with dread as you raise those numbers. And the name could have lore meaning, as it stands for the fear of your own reflection, which could either be a callback to Sister Location's fake ending, or maybe even something more meta, like you playing as William Afton and there being multiple spring traps in the game to kill you. And it's not even just that one, the other tracks here are wonderful as well, really dark and ominous feeling. And then there's High Score, which is hype every single goddamn time I hear it. There is so much amazing stuff here, not just in the characters, but when you dig a little deeper, this game also tells a pretty interesting story about revenge. Spoiler alert, you play as Afton in this game, stuck in what seems to be hell for all eternity, just like Henry said. And we know this because the characters constantly talk about the one you shouldn't have killed.
He's here and always watching.
And most of the mediocre melodies have these downright chilling voice lines, talking about making Afton suffer with a low whisper in the back.
We've only just begun.
And you get to experience it over and over and over again.
By the way, the Orville one's my favorite.
He tried to release you. He tried to release us. But I'm not gonna let that happen. I will hold you here. I will keep you here. No matter how many times they burn us.
This is just ridiculously good. Bravo to his voice actor. Someone is controlling these animatronics, or at least most of them. And the one doing it is, well, it actually isn't clear. And trust me, no matter how clear you think it is, it just isn't. I've had my opinion changed on this like 4 times already. But we do know that it was one of the missing kids stuffed into Fredbear. They will not let go. They want to make this man pay, even if it means letting the other souls be tortured along with him.
Is it me trapped, or is it you? Perhaps it's us both.
Even Old Man Consequences is telling them to calm the fuck down. I absolutely adore how Scott is able to take a silly side game and turn it into a gut-punching lore fest. It always makes the new projects hit a lot harder, even if the fans hate to think they're canon. I could easily go on for another couple hours, but this is not an Ultimate Custom Night video, so I'll move on to the next place. Is number 3 really better than Ultimate Custom Night, even though there is 10 times less content? Hell yeah, it is! One of my favorite tropes in indie horror games is when you have to do a boss fight in a game that doesn't seem like it should have bosses. So I feel like it should be obvious that Night 5 of FNaF 4 is so high on my list. This night is a dedicated boss fight, with brand new yet familiar mechanics fighting against a character teased throughout the entire game. I'm sure people won't agree with me, but literally everything is stacked up to make this night perfect for me. Nightmare Fredbear is so cool. He basically just takes all the best parts of the other characters' gameplay, including Foxy, and mashes it into one fast-moving character. The renders of him are so fucking amazing, and the ending is phenomenal, but we'll get to that soon enough. The sheer impact of Fredbear randomly showing up after only a few seconds of silence is so cool. For a second, they make you think nobody is here. Like, this is the 5th night. Why is it so quiet? And then... oh god, I've never heard that before! It's such a well done and honestly stressful surprise. About every other hour, you'll hear a laugh, and when you do, you'll have to either go to the bed or the closet, which he has now randomly chosen to go to. And these renders are just kind of funny. Speaking of renders, these hallway shots are some of the coolest in the franchise. And if I'm being honest, they just look a lot better than Nightmare's. In general, Fredbear is a lot cooler than Nightmare, which is yet another reason this night is so much better. I actually don't have a lot else to say since this is pretty much just an easier night 6 and 7. But this one came first and I think it deserves to be up this high. But trust me, I'm definitely biased. Now for the big ending. I won't even hype it up. It's the bite of 83. This shit is so cool. Everyone was shocked by this. Everyone was blown away by this. We finally get to see the event that was hyped up since the very first night. Well, we thought we did at least, but that doesn't take away from how perfect this cutscene is. But since this scene has been analyzed to death, I just want to bring up my favorite aspect of it. When Michael and his friends shove the crying child into Fredbear's mouth, they're laughing and the creepy ambience is still playing. But as soon as Fredbear chomps down, everything goes silent and they stop. It is such a haunting conclusion to such a haunting cutscene. This was a short one, but I've talked to death about this night and others like it, so I'm just gonna move on and assume you understand. I feel like it's pretty obvious what the top 2 slots are, so here we go. Number 2... oh. Whatever. This is actually fine. Anyway, look. Custom Night in the first game is cool, but only 4 characters are just not enough to have fun with. But 10, on the other hand, Five Nights at Freddy's 2 perfected the Custom Night, and was the last to not have any new content made for it, which is why this one is still lower. Because at the end of the day, this is just more FNaF 2, which I definitely wouldn't consider a bad thing. New to this night is presets that allow you to not only make your own night, but play some more difficult challenges thought up by Scott himself. And some of these are pretty creative. But back to that in a minute for the obvious mini ranking. For beating each challenge, you unlock a plushie or toy that is placed on your desk. This is genius, and I'm so upset the idea never came back. Especially Ultimate Custom Night. It would have given me an actual reason to play that game's presets. One pretty big downside is Foxy and the marionette, who are automatically turned on if they're in the preset or not. And look, I get it for the marionette, but couldn't you at least have given him adjustable AI so he wasn't annoyingly aggressive on every single preset? I mean, that's what you did for Foxy, so what's the problem? Foxy has no excuse though. With marionette being always active, I won't have my mask on the entire night anyway, so why is he forced to be in my women and non-binaries only challenge? Ugh, so much for female only spaces. But that's pretty much my only complaint outside of well, you know. So let's get into ranking each preset based on how fun they are to play and what prizes you win for beating them. Ooh, this is gonna be fun! FNaF 2 is at its best when you're doing a billion things all at once and flicking your mouse all over the place. It's hectic and fun. But in a few of these, they made it so you don't even have to check everything. And the worst example of this is Night of Mischief. The idea is to give you all of the weird characters, but that only makes 3. So, what's the gameplay loop here? Wind, mask, left vent, that's it. Golden Freddy's easy to get rid of. You don't even need to keep the mask on. And if Mangle's in the office, he'll let you know by screaming in your ear, so you don't even have to check the right vent. Of course, Foxy is also here, so a light down the hall is required every once in a while, but there isn't a single character to pull your cams down. So not even the marionette is a problem. Just wind it all the way up. Why not? There's nothing stopping you. You also get the worst reward for beating it. A BB toy with a weird giant nose. This is just awkward. 4 of these presets are dedicated to pairing up the Wizards and their toy counterparts. And while some of these are more clever and tough than the others, he clearly fully gave up with Foxy. No funny name, no surprise with a prize you get. Guess what? It's Foxy. And definitely no challenge. In my opinion, for having a worse theme and name and only having 2 characters, this night is way worse than Night of Mischief. But Foxy at 20 can be pretty brutal, so it is technically harder. Like with these 3, I am in no trouble of actually dying ever. And if I did, that would be incredibly sad. But Foxy here makes it so if I wind the box for a little too long, there is a chance that I could. But don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's much harder. With no BB or Wiggle and Freddy, you actually don't even have to put on the mask or check any of the vents. Just flash Foxy and listen for Mangle. God, this is a hard decision. Whatever, I'm sticking to this. Just know that they are very close in the rankings here. And could probably just be swapped out, honestly. But this is what I'm settled on for now. The next Wizard and Toy team-up night is Double Trouble, which is technically better. You at least have to check one of the vents and put on the mask. So already a huge step up. And while it is weird that Foxy's third wheeling, him being at 5 does make this slightly more challenging. And Toy Bonnie literally sucks ass at 20, but like, I'm not gonna say this is a good preset. I like the Bonnie plush, and since chronologically this is the first of these 4 nights, it still might be a surprise to see the classic Bonnie plush, but I mean, it's a Bonnie-focused night. For this video, I went back and beat every single preset from this game for the first time in years. It was a lot of fun, and I'm glad I did it as it gave me an even greater appreciation for this game. But actually, I lied. I did not beat Golden Freddy. In fact, I didn't even try. I entered it to get this footage and then moved on because guess what? This night is fucking impossible. Technically, it can be beaten, but it is completely luck-based, and it just isn't any fun at all. The biggest FNaF fans still have trouble with this night, and I am in complete shock that Markiplier beat this when he did. Look at this note sheet. Look at how complicated it all is. Toy Bonnie is the bane of everyone's existence because he spends like 10 seconds in your office, and that is not time you can waste.
Just want to get that animatronic right, and I want to smash him up and put him in a furnace. Fucking little squeaky bastard.
The actual strategy for beating this night is to just get lucky and pray that one of the Withers will end up being in your office to interrupt that gay rabbit's dumb animation. Yeah, that is not a joke. And what do you get for beating one of FNAF's hardest challenges? A star in the menu? No, you get that with a different preset for some reason. You get a Golden Freddy plushie. And that's actually the one thing I do like about this night. This thing is cool. I love how he's tucked away in the corner in the shadows. It looks amazing. But this night is not at all worth beating for it. Just do the CD plus code like a normal person and get on with your life. Okay, so this mode is actually technically a lie, as in the game's code, the animatronics can't actually get to an AI level of 20. In reality, they cap out at 15, 10 for Golden Freddy, and 17 for Foxy. This is weird, but watching a video of true 1020, well, yeah, I guess I get it. Because apparently it's way easier since Foxy just doesn't work. I just think it's kind of funny that this custom night preset would be exactly as difficult as Golden Freddy mode, but you won't get the reward for it. The other reoccurring theme in the custom night presets is all the characters at the same AI level. We obviously just talked about Golden Freddy mode, which had them all set at 20, and now we get to the 10 one, Fazbear Fever. This might be the most forgettable night in all of Five Nights at Freddy's. It's literally just Cupcake Challenge, but a little bit harder. and Golden Freddy, but a little bit easier. Why was this made? The only reason it's this high is because, well, at least it's a challenge. This night is surprisingly hard, but so are the other two, so why does this even exist? When you beat it, you get Freddy's microphone? I mean, I guess I appreciate the weirder choice, but why? This is so random, and thank God it returned in Ultimate Custom Night. What would we do without Freddy's microphone on the desk? Freddy's Circus actually does more with the Withered and Toy concept and the Weirdos concept. It actually makes a pretty fun night. Of course, you have Toy and Withered Freddy, who both attack in the exact same way, which would make a very boring night, and Scott knew it. So we also have Balloon Boy, Foxy, and Wither Golden Freddy. It isn't the hardest night around, but you'll still be kept on your toes unlike those first three. And of course, you get the Freddy plush. Predictable, but whatever. And of course, the last of these nights is Chica's. But she drops the theme entirely. It isn't even about Chica as a character, but actually the women of the game. So, Chica. Oh, and Mangle is there too for some reason. Ladies' Night started a long-running argument of Mangle's gender, turning her into the non-binary / bi-gender icon that he is today. And hey, that's definitely worth something. And because of her, this night is actually pretty fun, as you have 2 vent dwellers to deal with, alongside the constant threat of Withered Chica looming over you. And of course, the 2-for-1 Chica and Mr. Cupcake plush is the best one. It's nothing too special, but I have a nostalgic soft spot for it. As a reference to the original game's super hard challenge, 2020-2020 or 420 mode features all of the Withers at level 20, which isn't all that challenging, but wow, is it fun and hectic. You only have to worry about Foxy and Marionette, but you will constantly get interrupted by the other 3 Wizards pulling down your monitor every 2 seconds, leading to plenty of horrifyingly close calls. And not to mention how brutal Foxy is at 20. And I know I already said that, but it's that bad. All of this together makes a fun, unique, and hectic night that is the perfect start to the Night 7 experience. Why do you get the final menu star from this? Like, it makes no sense besides being a reference to the first game. Why not give it to the actual Ultra Challenge? And for another very slight complaint, Withered Golden Freddy should be in this night. He's also a Withered animatronic. And sure, that ruins the theme, but it was kind of bad to begin with. There is no preset that is just all the Withers like there is the toys, which is just weird in my opinion. But overall, it's a great preset. And for the last of those all-active presets, the Cupcake Challenge. And all it does is set all the characters to 5. Now, this does not sound difficult, but surprisingly, it is? I don't know how to describe it, but all of the characters feel so in sync. It felt like they were all working together for once, and I actually had the music box run out because of a combo of attacks ending in Toy Bonnie showing up. But luckily, I just narrowly beat it, and that was the most fun I had while playing this game. It was crazy. For an example of what I mean, this is what the AI for Night 6 looks like. That looks way more difficult, but everything seems to come at you one by one, making it all not so bad. But with the Cupcake Challenge, it's just one after another after another. You just constantly feel like you're being shit all over. And I love it. For beating the Cupcake Challenge, you get the original Mr. Cupcake on your desk. It would have been a lot lamer if it was just Toy Cupcake, but no. Scott went the extra mile and imported that model into the game, just like this entire custom night. But obviously, this night isn't all that creative. So for as much as I like it, there is still one more that I consider to be my favorite. The final preset is New and Shiny, and it is simply all of the toy animatronics at 10. Yeah, not even 20, and it still somehow became the most fun of all of the challenges. It isn't the hardest or the most creative, but it just makes sense. All of it does. The name, the characters themselves, the prize you get for beating it being an actual toy of Toy Bonnie, and it does an amazing job at showing off all of FNaF 2 so well. The 2 events are filled with characters, and Toy Freddy and Foxy still populate the halls. It's hectic and challenging while still not being bullshit or samey. It also technically has 2 prizes, since the ports needed to remove Toy Bonnie's guitar, leading to this new render of the Toy Bonnie figure. Well, not really, it's actually just the RWQ figure from FNaF 3 recolored. Huh. I really wish I had more to say, but in my opinion, it's simply just the best night. And it was only the second preset Talk about peaking early, damn. After beating any one of these presets, you get another "You're fired" screen showing that we've been playing as an entirely new person during custom night. Someone named Fritz Smith, along with an added note shaming Fritz for getting fired on the first day. I think it's fair to say that this is most likely Michael Afton using an alias, which means he's on an all-around Fazbear Entertainment tour as he was fired for the same exact reason in FNaF 1. It was really hard for me to rank these nights as all of them feel so similar. Don't get me wrong, they are super fun, and the prizes you get as rewards are so cute, but I guess FNaF 2, with 80% of its characters being the same exact thing, doesn't really make for the most interesting custom night. If only there was a custom night that had 10 completely unique characters, ending every night with a cute reward, and was in my favorite game of the series. Oh wait, when Sister Location first released, and for the most part now, a lot of people didn't like how different the game was from the previous 4 titles. They wanted sit and survive type gameplay, and Enter just wasn't quite cutting it. And while I definitely wasn't one of those people, I was a little upset about the length of the game, and it was really missing that final mode that all the other games had before it. Your nightmares, or your challenges, or of course, a custom night. Well, soon after the game released, Scott shared this image on Scott Games. A Sister Location custom night was coming. Maybe it'll be good, I don't know. All taking place in the private room, 10 characters, new and old, with completely unique mechanics, attempt to hunt you down. Nothing is recycled but the office here. New renders, new jump scares, tons of music. End of night cutscenes that act as a reward and continue the story of the game? This is exactly what I wanted. Yeah, not all the characters are winners, but most of them are, and they all go together very well. Ballora, Bidybab, and Funtime Freddy are all about audio and listening to where they are in the building, which you already know I love. And while Ballora just plays her music and Bidybab whispers from the vent, Freddy just screams to announce his location. Kellingoff never change. Yendo, an Easter egg from the Funtime Auditorium, acts like Golden Freddy, but while he's in your office, he also drains your oxygen as well. And when paired with fucking Lolbit from FNaF World, who stops you from using the cams till you type LOL on your keyboard, they can be a deadly combo. Mini Arenas 2 just cover your view, and with Bonnet, who you have to whack on the nose, it can be a little tough with these things on your face. Wow, these mechanics are so creative! Of course, not all of them are amazing. Mini Arenas and Electrobab drain your oxygen and power, if not shock from the cameras. And Funtime Foxy is literally just Foxy, but honestly, his mechanic works very well alongside Funtime Freddy and Ballora, so I actually don't mind it. So with 2, but mainly 1 character I don't like, that is a pretty impressive roster. Okay, but to be fair, it is weird that Lolbit, Yendo, Bonnet, Mini Arenas again, and Electrobab are all in this, but Ennard and Circus Baby, you know, the main villains of the game, didn't make the cut. For some reason, Ballora acts as Freddy for when you get a power out, and I mean, fine, I guess, but why didn't you just let Circus Baby do this? With how random Ennard's movement are, I'm kinda glad he isn't here. I just kinda wish that you needed the cams and the vents for more things. The vents are only used for Bidybab, but you can just listen to her audio cues. Originally, Bonbon would have gone through them as well, but thinking about tracking 3 Freddy positions gives me a headache, so let's just move on. Another pretty weird problem with this night is that the name is just a damn lie. You can't customize the night. It's only presets and the difficulty adjustments. This would be a huge problem if I have ever, even once in my life, wanted to make my own night in a custom night that wasn't UCN. So yeah, it's kinda dumb. But what other challenge are you gonna make exactly? Just Freddy? Ooh. Yes, it isn't perfect. But give me a FNaF night that has literally no flaws at all, and maybe I'll put it down. Oh, what's that? Oh, the only game you like is FNaF 1? I thought so. There is more to talk about, obviously, but I'll save that for after the mini ranking. These nights will only be ranked by the night itself, and the very hard setting only. I mean, I guess I could rank each mode individually since they all have a different AI setting and a separate star in the custom night menu, but that seems a little too stupid, even for me. Each cutscene isn't tied to beating a specific night, and while I'm almost always going to see them in the same order since I play from the first preset to the last, I won't be counting them in the preset ranking as there isn't enough to fill up each preset, and that isn't exactly fair to bottom shelf, I guess. Of course, there is one obvious exception, but I don't think I need to spell that one out for you. Let's get on to the final mini ranking of the video. For a custom night so hyper-focused on listening for sound cues and voice lines, it doesn't make a lot of sense to make a night without any of that. But they did! Weirdos is the only preset in this game you can play on mute. And the reason I know this is because I've played this night in the bathroom at school while I was supposed to be in math. This isn't necessarily a bad thing, but when the night is the most boring thing you've ever played, it is. Like, yes, the Yendo, Lolbit, and Bonnet trio can be very deadly, but when they are the only thing you have to deal with, they're as simple as doing what you're told. I mean, Bonnet at only 10, she's a piece of cake. With absolutely nothing happening at all for 6 minutes straight, you'll notice a lot of things that make it all so much worse. Like the fact that you can pretty much perfectly predict when Mini-Rinas and Electrobab are going to show up, which literally means you'll be counting the seconds, because counting is way more interesting than weirdos. And since there are no doors to close, you'll be ending the night with a record high power percent. You don't even need to do a green run, just play weirdos. There's only so many times I can say it, but this night is so boring. The one thing it has going for it is the voice line when you beat the night. After each night is completed, you hear one of the characters in that preset say some snarky comment. But what happens if none of the characters speak? Well, you hear this.
Take me with you.
Which is a unique voice line never heard anywhere else. Now, it isn't clear who's saying this, but it's obviously Heather Masters. This was probably just set as the default voice to play when no others are here to say words as a final little Easter egg hurrah for Circus Baby. I've heard people say, no, it's Bonnet or Mini-Rinas. It isn't, but I digress. I remember being yelled at by kids in the comments about how the line was actually from Funtime Foxy, ignoring the fact that they aren't in this night, and also don't have a voice. Let's just say, I felt very vindicated when Ultimate Custom Night released. I'm sorry, this night is so unnotable that I just started talking about Circus Baby. My bad, it's a habit. You may notice a bit of a similarity with this and the last entry. Dolls Attack is just weirdos, but with Yendo and Lolbit replaced with Mini-Rinas 2 and Bidybab. Bidybab makes this night a bit more interesting, but not by much. It's still boring as hell, except now I have shit on my face. To give you another example of the kind of shit you do when you're bored in these games, I was randomly honking the Fredbear plushie's nose when I realized it was quieter than usual. Then it suddenly got louder and louder, and then I blocked Bidybab and realized it was quiet again. For some reason, the nose honk and Bidybab's voice share the same audio channel, so when she is far away, the nose sounds like it is too. This means you can interrupt her voice lines, which I found way too funny. This isn't exclusive to this game, it's a known issue in a lot of FNaF games, but this one I found on my own, so it feels kind of special. I don't know if this is a useful discovery, as she isn't the most challenging character in the game, but hypothetically, you could use this to tell where she is if you lost track of her, or you could just check her camera. I think it goes to show the quality of the night if I'm conducting an experiment on the side. And I'd be lying if I didn't say I technically had a lot of fun doing that. Angry Ballet is yet another very boring one. But last, as Ballora actually requires your attention. Too bad she's the only one who requires your attention. I actually don't hate this one, but it isn't because it's good. It's because I find it really funny you could just ignore both of the Mini-Rinas and let your screen go black, since Ballora is all audio. It's like a mini blind mode. It's also kind of pathetic in a very lame first preset, but it's more interesting than Bears Attack 1! Man, I'm judging these nights on the weirdest criteria. Apparently, as long as you have some strange oddity, I'll at least be a little amused by you. Okay, so stop me if you heard this one. Bottom shelf is literally just Dolls Attack, but Lolbit is back and Bonnet is out, and it's just generally easier. Okay, so why is this higher than Dolls Attack then? Well, because it has a strange oddity in it. So, this is the only night where Mini-Rinas and Electrobab are on a different AI level. And this actually made them kind of fun to fight? I can't believe I just said that, but it's true. Don't get me wrong, the night is still super boring, and I definitely just cut off Bidybab the entire time. But still, them activating at different times made it so I actually had to think about how to deal with them instead of just... And I really wish we could have seen how this would have affected some other harder presets. Would it be better or just more annoying? I guess that's something I could have customized, but oh well. Either way, this makes Bottom Shelf kinda unique, if not still very uninteresting and piss easy. Hey, the first night that isn't bad! I mean, it isn't good either, but any night with Funtime Freddy will be fun. I think that's a law in some countries. Freddy & Co. is Funtime Freddy's solo night. His mechanic is so much fun to master. You'll follow his footsteps from one closet to the other, and he'll always make the sound, so if you're paying attention, you'll never lose him. And when he's ready to attack, he'll just scream out a command. One telling Bonbon to go get him, which means Bonbon is coming from the door on the side Freddy currently is, and the other announcing a surprise, which means he's going for the opposite door. This mechanic is just Nightmare Foxy's, but with loud screaming, and that is amazing. It is genuinely really fun to keep up with, while admittedly being fairly easy on its own. But on harder nights when you have a billion things to listen out for, he can be brutal. But enough about Freddy. What about the rest of the night? Well, the theming is Freddy and characters related to Freddy, so that means Bonnet and Mendo at 10. Not hard to deal with. Foxy really could have mixed things up, but only being at 5 just makes them a joke. This isn't a great preset. And what's worse is that the next one in line is literally the same thing, but way better. I really like the top shelf, bottom shelf theming. It's honestly pretty clever. And I wouldn't be opposed to more themes chosen just for an aesthetic reason. Like imagine an Ultimate Custom Night preset that's just the characters set in a grid pattern. That'd be kind of fun. Top shelf is just Freddy & Co, but actually fun. The lore of Funtime Foxy and Funtime Freddy make an insane team, and dealing with them together is tons of fun. The feeling of satisfaction you get when you block all 3 of them at the same time is so perfect. The main downside of this night is Yendo and Bonnet at 5. They really don't leave an impression here, and since we see this combo a few more times later, yeah, this one's pretty forgettable, all things considered. When Sister Location Custom Night first came out, I despised Foxy. I just couldn't quite get the timing spot on, and I always died to them by just a bit, and it sucked. And coming back to get footage, I thought it would be more of the same, but surprise, surprise, I actually kind of like them now. Let me be clear. Only when they're at 20. Any other lower number, they are just boring and forgettable and far too easy for me to even care about. But at 20, their difficulty is turned up to 11. Well, 20, actually. The AI level 20, not 11. And while they definitely aren't my favorite here, I mean, this is just FNaF 1 Foxy. Not exactly full of creative energy, if you ask me. But I love dealing with them alongside Freddy. Oh, right, Funtime Frenzy. Like I keep saying, Lilbit and Yendo are nothing at 10 and 5. But obviously, I'm not here for them. Put them at 20, you cowards. They aren't even close to hard until then. Let's start with the obvious. I couldn't beat it. The annoyingly named Golden Freddy mode is this game's super hard challenge. And wow, is it difficult. It's so weird. The challenges before don't seem all that bad. Pretty easy, actually. But then the difficulty just shits on you in this last one. Originally, it was pretty much impossible, having to be patched to make sure you actually had enough power to beat it. This was the first and only time that Scott updated a challenge to make it easier, which may not seem that weird, but remember, Scott had to update 1, 3, and Ultimate Custom Night to give the player a reward for beating them because he thought it would be impossible. So why does this one get that treatment? When you beat the night, you get this beautiful cutscene featuring Michael talking to his father, recounting the events of Sister Location and promising to come find him.
It was right where you said it would be, and I found her. I put her back together, but something is wrong with me. I should be dead, but I'm not. I've been living in shadows.
Only to have Dark Springtrap appear from the burned rubble of Fazbear's frights.
I'm going to come find you.
It is one of the best moments in all of FNaF and gives me chills every time. A perfect send-off for this nearly perfect game. Yeah, I've never seen it myself. Yeah, this alongside the Golden Freddy Ultimate Custom Night cutscene, I've just never been talented enough to get. I've practiced for hours to try and beat this, and I never even got to 2 AM. But unlike FNaF 2, I'm okay with that. The reason this night is so special to me is because it feels like Scott actually wanted it to be possible. Because he did. And that makes it stand out as one of the best hard mode challenges in the series history. It also had an actual reward, so that's a plus. Oh, right, we still have 2 more. This kind of felt like a finale, huh? Yeah, I can't rate this any higher, especially since those last 2 are actually fun to play. But Golden Freddy is still very high up for a reason. These next 2 nights scored the exact same point total, meaning that they are both some of the best nights this series has to offer. But one, obviously, had to be better, so in second place is Girls' Night. Not Ladies' Night because of Biddy Bab, I guess. No alcohol for you, little one. Ballora, Bonnet, and Foxy at 20? Wow, that is nothing to be underestimated. I already spoke about how relentless Foxy can be, but Bonnet can be pretty bad too. She goes way faster than you'd think. And with these assholes covering your face, it's even harder. But if you know where she's going to be, it's a lot easier to just wait for her there. Biddy Bab doesn't affect much, and neither does the mini-arenas. But they don't make the night worse. Honestly, the combo of Ballora and Foxy makes this one of the best nights on their own. But the others help it to reach number 2. But they also keep it out of first place, so good going, mini-arena. Oh, and no Electrobab. Trans Electrobab? Good for him? And of course, my favorite preset is Cupcake Challenge, taking on a new form since FNaF 2. There, it was all of the characters set at 5, and I really enjoyed that. But here, it's all the characters but Yendo, Biddy Bab, and Mini Arenas 2 at 10, with the custom night screen forming a cupcake shape. Or maybe that's just a coincidence, I don't know. The reason I like this night is similar to why I like FNaF 2's Cupcake Challenge. It combines almost every animatronic at the same level, and even though they're only at 10, they're all so seemingly in sync, and it feels like they're actually working together for once. This challenge is tough, not impossible, but it'll take you a while. Certainly deserving of the penultimate challenge. You have to constantly shock the power and oxygen, suckers. Check out Foxy, and of course pay attention to the Ballora, Freddy, Bonbon trio I love so very, very much. It is so much to focus on, and while I don't think they make it particularly harder, Bonnet and Lolbit are a good pair and work well together. Here's a little fun fact about tracking Freddy and Electrobab. Wherever one of them is, the other will be on the opposite side, so if you know where Freddy is, you know exactly where Electrobab is as well. It's something I really like about how this game is set up. Unlike a lot of others, it feels like everything happens for a reason, you know? And that's all I have to say about the presets. These are some of the best in the franchise. Like, yes, I have my problems with a few of them, but even the ones I didn't like, I found ways to entertain myself. I was able to find good in the worst nights here, which isn't something I can say about many of the other games. But with such a perfect and polished game, it's easy to be having fun even in the bad times. And that's exactly what I find so special about Sister Location. Of course, we aren't done yet, as beating your first 5 challenges gets you one of these cutscenes that shows Michael deteriorating more and more, day after day, until he can barely stand up in his dark purple. The people he once knew growing further and further away from him. Oh well, cheery music plays. In the final cutscene, he stops by the sewer drain and ejects energy straight out of his body and then goes limp. But Michael won't die, and he stands back up, Ennard's eyes appearing in the sewers. This is one of the best cutscenes FNaF has to offer. And I know I've been saying that a lot, but it's true! These little bite-sized cutscenes that change with the more presets you beat is such a genius reward for playing. And that final cutscene is incredible. Hearing the "you won't die" from the fake ending is so cool, even if it doesn't really make sense lore-wise. I adore everything about this mode, and even if you don't agree, I don't care! And that goes for this whole list. Thank you all so much for spending your night listening to me ramble. Now, I've obviously been giving each night a point total as we went along, and I'm sure some of you are curious to see the final scores for each game, and I'm happy to show it to you. So after adding up the fun, unique, and challenge values, here is what each game earned. Now, if I could redo this video from the start, I'd definitely change the difficulty score. A night being easy doesn't necessarily make it bad, and same goes for a night being hard. So I feel like a few games got a little inflated just because some of their nights are tough. But that being said, I feel this is fairly accurate. Ultimate Custom Night beating Pizzeria Simulator with only 3 nights is so funny to me. And while I'm aware 4 is only number 1 because it has a ridiculous amount of nights, remember that not only did it get 0 for one of these, it got quite a few lower scores too. I personally think it was earned. Just like how Sister Location got 2nd. I know the FNaF fandom has an aversion to everything Sister Location related, but I'm sorry. It will always be my favorite main series FNaF game. Can you tell I wrote this before Help Wanted 2 came out? Yeah, that's how long this video took. But even if you disagree, I hope you at least enjoyed something from this video. It was a lot of fun to make, even if it took forever. The next video is definitely going to be something a bit simpler. But if you disagree with anything on my list, let me know in the comments. And while you're down there, maybe tell me what you liked about this video as well. You know all those silly background gags done in Blender? Yeah, that was all me. However, I didn't make the models, and a full list of those creators will be in the description below if you want to use those models for yourself. And with that, I'll see you all on the flip side. Oh, that was boring. Later, Freddy. Jerk.